The Ship That Vanished. Mary Celeste's Empty Decks. Have you ever walked into an empty room, expecting someone to be there, only to find it completely quiet? Now imagine that feeling, stretched across a vast ocean, with a ship as the empty room. This is the story of the Mary Celeste, a sailing ship found adrift in the Atlantic in 1872. Here's what happened. Another ship, the Dei Gratia, spotted the Mary Celeste. It sailed steadily, sails partly set, but when their crew boarded, they found something deeply unsettling. The ship was totally deserted. No one was there. The captain, his wife, young daughter, and the entire crew all gone. They had simply vanished. The ship itself was fine. Cargo was in place. No signs of struggle, no storm damage. A half-eaten meal sat on the table. The lifeboat was missing, but why leave a perfectly good ship? Why abandon their home at sea without a trace? For over 150 years, people have tried to figure out this mystery. Was it a sudden fear, a false alarm that made them rush into the lifeboat? Did something unseen pull them away? It's like coming home to find your door unlocked, lights on, phone charging, but your family is just ... gone, with no note or sign. That unsettling feeling, that's what the Mary Celeste carries. This mystery reminds us that even with all our knowledge, the world still holds deep secrets. Some stories end without a clear final chapter. The Mary Celeste floats in our minds, a quiet, empty ghost of a ship, showing that sometimes the most profound questions are never fully answered, leaving us with wonder and the vast, silent unknown. Amelia Earhart, lost somewhere in the big sky. Have you ever lost something really important? Something that just vanished, and you never found it again? Maybe it was a favorite toy, or a special locket, or even a pet that wandered off. Imagine that feeling, but on a much, much bigger scale. Like a person, a pioneer, simply disappearing into the vastness of the world. In 1937, Amelia Earhart was trying to do something incredible, fly all the way around the world. She was brave, a true adventurer, charting a path no woman had completely finished before. Her plane was a symbol of human dreams taking flight. But somewhere over the giant Pacific Ocean, Amelia and her navigator Fred Noonan simply vanished. One moment, their tiny plane was a speck against the vast blue sky. The next, silence. No distress call. No wreckage was found, even after huge searches. Just nothing. Here's the thing about mysteries like this. They make us wonder. It's like reading a fantastic adventure book, and then suddenly, the last chapter is just gone. You turn the page, and there's nothing but blank paper where the ending should be. We can guess what happened. Maybe they ran out of fuel. Maybe they crashed into the sea. Maybe they landed on a tiny, forgotten island. But no one knows for sure. And that's why her story matters so much. She wasn't just a pilot. She was a symbol of courage, of reaching for the impossible. Her disappearance reminds us that even with all our smarts, some parts of history remain. A secret we can't solve. It's a powerful, quiet thought that someone so full of life and dreams could simply become part of the great unknown, leaving us to look up at the sky and wonder forever. Roswell, a mystery that fell from the stars. Have you ever felt a strange pull toward things we can't quite explain? Some stories whisper across generations, not because they're true, but because they stir something deep inside us. The mystery of Roswell is one such whisper, a story that fell from the New Mexico sky many decades ago, sparking questions that still echo today. Imagine, for a moment, a quiet summer night in 1947. A rancher discovers strange wreckage scattered across his land, pieces unlike anything he'd ever seen. The military quickly gathers it, first announcing they found a flying disc, then changing their story to a weather balloon. But for many, that change only deepened the puzzle. Was it just a balloon, floating down from our own sky? Or was it something else entirely, something from beyond our world, a silent message landing on our quiet planet? This isn't just about strange debris. It's about what happens when our everyday world brushes against the unknown. Think about finding a very unusual shell on the beach. It's not like the others. Its colors are odd, its shape unfamiliar. You might wonder where it came from, how it formed, what ocean it traveled. You turn it over in your hand, feeling its mystery. Roswell is like that shell, but on a much larger scale, making us wonder about the vast ocean of space above us. The Roswell story reminds us that sometimes the biggest truths aren't about what we know for sure, but what we dare to wonder about. It asks us to look up, to ponder the quiet darkness of the cosmos, and to consider the endless possibilities that might be drifting just beyond our sight, waiting for us to ask the next question. It's a story that invites us to keep looking, to keep dreaming, and to always hold a small space for the beautiful, perplexing unknowns of the universe. Bigfoot, a shadow moving in the deep woods. Have you ever walked deep into a forest, where the ancient trees stand so tall they seem to touch the sky, and felt a quiet whisper in the air? Not a sound you can name, but just a feeling, like something vast and unseen might be nearby. That's how the legend of Bigfoot begins to stir. It's the story of a huge ape-like creature, said to walk upright on two strong legs, a silent guardian living deep within the enormous untouched forests of North America. Many call it Sasquatch, a name echoing from older times. For hundreds of years, whispers of this giant forest dweller have traveled through communities, especially those who live closest to the wild. Long before any modern cameras captured blurry images, indigenous peoples shared tales of large, elusive beings. These weren't just simple stories, they were deep parts of their understanding of the land, hinting at mysteries where paved roads end and true wilderness begins. The idea of Bigfoot taps into something very human in us, our wish to believe there are still hidden places, still creatures we haven't found or fully explained. It's a bit like seeing a very fuzzy photo of something far away in a grand landscape. You try to make out the shape, and your mind might hope it's something truly incredible, something rare. Bigfoot is that compelling blurry image for our collective imagination. So, is Bigfoot truly real? We don't have clear scientific proof, no bones, no body, yet the mystery keeps living, a shadow walking silently through the deep woods of our shared thoughts. Perhaps the persistent idea of Bigfoot tells us something about ourselves, more than about the creature itself. It speaks to our deep sense of wonder, our quiet yearning for secrets to still exist in the world, and our connection to the wild, untamed parts of our planet that we still don't completely understand. Maybe, just maybe, the greatest mysteries are the ones that simply remain, just out of sight, reminding us that wonder and magic still have a home. The Loch Ness Monster, a secret in dark water. Have you ever felt a shiver just thinking about what might hide beneath the surface? What ancient secrets sleep in deep dark waters, far from human eyes? In the vast, misty highlands of Scotland, there's a famous lake called Loch Ness. It's an enormous stretch of water, incredibly deep, holding centuries of quiet stillness. For a very long time, people have told stories about a creature living there, a mysterious being they call the Loch Ness Monster, or simply, Nessie. Is Nessie truly real, or is it just a powerful myth, a whisper carried on the cold wind that crosses the water? Think about how old stories live on, like echoes through time. Before science explained every whisper, people looked at the world with a mix of wonder and a little fear. They saw shadows dancing, heard strange sounds carried on the wind, and their minds, full of imagination, filled the gaps. This deep need to understand, to give a name to the unknown, has always been a quiet part of who we are. It's an ancient feeling, this quiet wonder about what might truly be out there. It's a bit like when you're walking home as the light fades, and a twisted tree branch seems like a shadowy figure for just a moment. Your mind can play tricks, making something ordinary feel mysterious. Or think about how a small rumor starting in your school can grow huge, changing just a little with every person who tells it. Perhaps Nessie is like that, a shimmer on the water, a fleeting glimpse, a story growing bigger with each retelling, fed by our own deep desire for wonder. But here's the thing about mysteries like Nessie. They ask us to think differently. They make us wonder about the parts of our world we can't easily see, or touch, or fully understand. The Loch Ness Monster, whether real or a beautiful legend, reminds us that the world is still full of silent wonders. It tells us that sometimes the true beauty isn't in finding all the answers, but in holding on to the question itself. It's about the quiet magic of what remains hidden, deep within the dark waters of imagination and time. Atlantis, a city lost beneath the waves. Have you ever wondered how an entire city could just disappear, like totally vanish? Imagine a powerful, bright city suddenly swallowed by the ocean. That's the story of Atlantis. For centuries, people have whispered about Atlantis. It isn't just a made-up tale. It's a legend that feels incredibly real. They say it was a magnificent island nation, full of advanced people, with grand buildings and vast knowledge. But then, in one terrible day, and night, it vanished. The waves closed over it, leaving no trace. This famous story comes mostly from an ancient Greek writer, Plato. He didn't tell it as just a fun adventure. Plato used Atlantis as a strong example in his writings. He described a city that was incredibly wealthy and powerful, but its people grew proud and greedy. They became too focused on power, losing their way. And that, Plato suggested, was why the gods made it sink. It was a warning about what happens when societies forget what truly matters. Think about a memory from when you were much younger. You can almost see it, almost feel it, but it's a bit blurry, right? You've heard the story many times, perhaps from family. It's become part of your past, even if you don't remember every detail. Atlantis is a bit like that. It's a powerful story passed down, something we hold on to, even if we don't have all the exact facts. It lives on in our minds. So, whether Atlantis was real or just a story, here's the thing. It makes us wonder. It makes us think about what we value, what matters more, what we build, or how we live. The idea of Atlantis challenges us to look deeper, to find lessons in ancient whispers. It reminds us that even if something is lost, the questions it leaves can teach us so much about ourselves and the world. It's a quiet echo of the past, calling us to imagine. The Bermuda Triangle. Ships gone without a trace. Have you ever wondered about places where the world seems to hold a secret, where things just vanish? Imagine a stretch of ocean, vast and deep, mysterious and silent, where ships and planes have simply disappeared. Not just hidden, but gone. Without a whisper, without a single piece of wreckage, leaving no hint, no trace at all. This is the place often called the Bermuda Triangle. It isn't a marked spot on any map, but an enormous area in the western North Atlantic, roughly connecting Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico. For generations, tales have told of cargo ships, luxury yachts, and even large aircraft sailing into this mysterious zone, only to be swallowed by the deep, never to be seen again. Their crews, their very existence, seemed to dissolve. Think about it this way. Imagine you've been building a sandcastle on the beach, spending hours on every detail. You walk away for a moment, just to get a drink, and when you turn back, it's not just broken down by the waves, it's completely gone. No sand, no remnants, just flat beach where your beautiful creation once stood. That's how perplexing the Bermuda Triangle feels. People have offered many ideas, powerful, sudden storms, tricky ocean currents, strange magnetic pull, even ideas about other dimensions. But no single explanation truly explains the complete silence, the utter emptiness left behind. It's a puzzle with pieces that simply don't exist. This feeling of things simply disappearing, defying our understanding, can make us feel a quiet awe. It reminds us that even with all our knowledge and clever tools, there are still corners of our world that hold deep mysteries, places where the rules we know don't seem to apply. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest unknown isn't something to fear, but something to wonder at. It invites us to pause, to look at the vastness around us, and to simply be curious, to feel the quiet pull of what lies beyond our sight, beyond our grasp. It's a reminder that the world is bigger and stranger than we often imagine. Jack the Ripper, London's unseen nightmare. Have you ever felt a shiver, not from cold, but from something unseen? A whisper in the quiet, a shadow at the edge of your vision. London, in the late 1800s, knew that chilling fear. It was a deep, unsettling feeling. This was the time of Jack the Ripper, a name that still echoes. He became a ghost story, a nightmare walking foggy streets, then vanishing. What makes his story so chilling, even today, isn't just what he did, but that we still do not know who he was. He was an unseen hand, a hidden face. Imagine London then. Narrow alleys, gas lamps flickering, thick damp fog. Life was incredibly difficult for many, especially in the East End where these horrific events took place. People struggled with poverty, and then this terror began. It wasn't just the awful acts, it was the chilling fact that no one could stop him, and no one could name him. This unknown attacker created profound, helpless fear. It made the entire city feel vulnerable, like a home with an unlocked door where something dark could slip in and out, leaving no trace behind. Think about this. Sometimes, the scariest stories aren't about huge monsters you can see. Instead, they're about things you can't quite grasp. It's like when you hear a strange noise in your house late at night, and your mind races to figure out what it is. The not knowing is often far worse than simply knowing. Your imagination fills in the terrifying possibilities. Jack the Ripper became that unsettling noise, that unseen threat that made the very air of London feel heavy with dread. The lasting mystery of Jack the Ripper continues to haunt us because it reminds us that some puzzles might never be solved. It shows how deeply the unknown can affect us, how it can ripple through history and leave a lasting mark on our memory. This dark, unresolved story acts like a mirror, reflecting our fears about what might lie just beyond our sight, and how fragile our sense of everyday safety can sometimes truly be. That's why, even now, we still quietly wonder about the unseen nightmare that once stalked London's shadowed streets. The Voynich manuscript, a book no one can read. Have you ever looked at an ancient, mysterious object and wished it could speak, like an old map or a strange, carved stone? You know there's a story there, a secret waiting. But what if you couldn't even read the words that were supposed to tell it? That's how it feels with the Voynich manuscript. Imagine a book, hundreds of years old, its pages yellowed and worn. It's filled with writing, line after line, just like any other book. But these aren't words, you know. They aren't English, or Latin, or any language anyone has ever understood. Next to this strange writing are even stranger drawings, unknown, plants, charts of stars no one recognizes, and tiny, sometimes comical, human figures. For centuries, this book has sat in quiet defiance. Brightest minds in history have tried to read it. Codebreakers, linguists, scientists, they've all bent over its pages, hoping to find a pattern, a key, a single word that makes sense. But the Voynich manuscript gives nothing away. It just sits there, silent, an echo of a mind we can't reach. Think about finding a hidden diary in an old attic. You pick it up, excited, knowing it holds thoughts and feelings from a life long ago. But when you open it, every page is written in a secret code. A code so complex, so unique, that no one, not even the smartest detective, could ever crack it. The words are there, right in front of you, but their meaning is locked away, maybe forever. The Voynich manuscript is like that diary. It reminds us that sometimes the world holds secrets not meant for us to easily discover. It challenges our need to know everything, to solve every puzzle, and maybe, just maybe, its true purpose isn't to be read, but simply to exist as a beautiful, profound mystery, a quiet whisper from the past, reminding us there are still wonders just beyond our understanding, waiting patiently in the shadows of the unknown. D.B. Cooper, the skyjacker who just flew away. Have you ever thought about someone just vanishing, not moving away, but truly disappearing, like a whisper carried off by the wind, leaving only questions behind? That's the story of D.B. Cooper, a mystery that has lingered in the air for decades, much like a ghost of a forgotten flight. Back in 1971, on a stormy Thanksgiving Eve, a man known only as D.B. Cooper boarded a plane. He hijacked it, got a huge sum of money, then jumped out with a parachute into the dark, rainy night over the Pacific Northwest. Just like that, he was gone. No trace, no body, only a sudden shocking absence. People have searched for him for years. The FBI, regular people, true crime fans, everyone has tried to figure it out. Was he a master of escape, living secretly, or did he crash into the wild, unforgiving forests and rivers, swallowed by nature? The answer remains hidden, tucked away in the shadows of that stormy night. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about how some things in life simply refuse to be known. It's like trying to catch smoke in your hands. You see it, you know it's there, but you can't quite hold it. Or imagine you've lost a tiny, special item, maybe a unique button. You look everywhere, but it's just gone. It leaves an empty space, a persistent question in your mind. That's the power of the D.B. Cooper mystery. It's not just about a crime. It's about our deep human wonder about the unknown. The idea that sometimes the world holds secrets too big, too clever, or too wild for us to ever fully understand. It reminds us that even with all our knowledge, some stories just stop, and perhaps that quiet not knowing is a kind of answer in itself. Roanoke Colony, the word Croatoan left behind. Have you ever wondered what it feels like for a whole village to just vanish? To leave almost no trace, no real explanation. That's the mystery of the Roanoke Colony, a story that has puzzled people for centuries. Back in the 1580s, English settlers came to what is now North Carolina and started a community on Roanoke Island. Their leader, John White, sailed back to England for supplies. He planned to return quickly, but war broke out, and he couldn't come back for 3 years. When he finally returned, the colony was gone. Homes empty, people nowhere. It was like they'd simply walked away. The only thing left was a word carved into a wooden post. Croatoan. Imagine John White's feelings. 3 years of worry, only to find empty land, a silent clue. That word, Croatoan, became a whispered ghost story. Message, warning, hint. No one knows. Some think they joined the local Croatoan Native American tribe. Maybe they ran out of food. No clear answers, just that single, haunting word. It's like looking for a lost pet. You search, but find only their toy, a silent question mark, or a friend suddenly moved, leaving just a puzzling message. That feeling of not knowing, of an unfinished story, is what the Roanoke mystery offers. The Roanoke colony's disappearance, marked by that mysterious word, reminds us how much can be lost. It shows that history isn't always neat. Sometimes, powerful. Lessons come from questions we can't answer, from quiet gaps in the past. That word Croatoan is a silent echo, teaching us to wonder about the unknown and respect history's deep mysteries. Stonehenge, giant stones pointing to old questions. Imagine, for a moment, standing on a vast green plain in England. The wind whispers secrets of centuries past, rustling through tall grasses. Before you stand immense stones, some reaching higher than a school bus, arranged in a perfect, silent circle. This is Stonehenge for thousands of years. These giant rocks have watched the sun rise and set, marking seasons and time. But here's the thing, nobody truly knows why they're there, or even how they got there. Think about it. These stones, some weighing more than 20 cars, were brought from miles away, by people who lived long before wheels, cranes, or even proper metal tools existed. How did they move them? Why did they bother with such a massive, impossible task? Maybe it was a sacred temple, a place to worship the sun or the moon. Maybe it was a giant calendar, built to track the year and guide farming. Some believe it was a burial ground for important leaders. The truth is, we have many guesses, but no certain answers. It's like finding a super complex, ancient machine. It works perfectly, but you have no idea who built it, why, or how they spent so much effort creating it. What does this tell us? It reminds us that our ancestors, though they lived differently, were just as smart, curious, and determined as we are. They looked at the sky, just like us, and wondered about their place in the universe. Stonehenge stands as a quiet reminder of human ambition, of ancient beliefs we can barely imagine, and of the many grand questions that still echo across time. It tells us that some mysteries are meant to stay, inspiring us to keep looking, to keep asking, and to simply marvel at the wonder of what came before us. The Nazca lines, huge drawings on the desert floor. Have you ever drawn something so big it stretched across your whole backyard? Imagine drawings so enormous they can only be seen from the sky. This is what we find in the Nazca Desert of Peru. The Nazca lines. For centuries, these mysterious marks have etched stories into the vast, dry earth. These aren't random scribbles. They are precise, sweeping designs made by ancient people. Some lines stretch for miles, straight as an arrow. Others form gigantic pictures of animals, hummingbirds the size of airplanes, monkeys with spiral tails. The Nazca people carefully moved reddish-brown stones, revealing lighter soil underneath. These artworks lasted so long because of the dry climate. But here's the big mystery. Why did they create them? And how did they make such perfect, huge drawings without seeing them from above? It's like drawing a detailed picture in a dark room, only seeing tiny bits up close. Imagine making a perfectly straight line across a football field without a guide. It's incredibly hard. Some think the lines were religious ceremonies or ways to communicate with gods. Others suggest they were giant calendars, aligning with stars. This makes you think, doesn't it? What makes us create things we can't fully experience in one glance? Like a builder laying a single brick, knowing it's part of a building they might never see finished. The Nazca people put immense effort into these lines, knowing the real picture was meant for something unseen by them. So, the Nazca lines remain a quiet wonder. They whisper questions across the desert winds. What grand ideas moved these ancient artists? They remind us that sometimes the most profound messages are written so grandly, They ask us to look beyond ourselves. We imagine purpose beyond immediate sight, feeling deep echoes of creativity across time. The Zodiac Killer, codes and chilling letters. Some secrets stay hidden, no matter how hard people search. For decades, one chilling whisper has belonged to a figure known only as the Zodiac Killer. This person terrorized California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. But it wasn't just the crimes, it was the letters. The Zodiac Killer sent strange, taunting letters to newspapers. Here's the thing. Many weren't plain words. They held codes, like strange jumbled puzzles. Imagine a secret language, symbols instead of letters, begging to be understood. People spent years trying to break these codes, hoping for truth. It was like solving a complex riddle. Think about when you and a friend make a simple secret message. You know if you crack it, you'll know their secret. Now, picture that, but the secret is truly dark, a real mystery. One of these codes, the 340-character cipher, took over 50 years to finally be cracked. Even then, it offered no clear identity, just more unsettling words from a mind we can't fully grasp. So, here we are, decades later. The letters remain, the codes, mostly uncracked. His identity is still a shadow, a question mark, and that's why it matters. It reminds us that some mysteries are so deep, so tangled, they might never truly be solved. They exist in the spaces between what we know and what we can only imagine, forever making us wonder. Tunguska event, a huge blast from nowhere. Have you ever felt a sudden, massive jolt, a sound so huge it shakes your whole world, but you can't quite figure out where it came from? Imagine that feeling, but on a scale so grand it flattened millions of trees across an area bigger than many cities. That's a bit like the Tunguska event, back in 1908. Deep in the remote forests of Siberia, something extraordinary happened. There was an explosion. Not just any explosion, but one so powerful it was 1,000 times stronger than the Hiroshima bomb. People hundreds of miles away felt the shockwave. They saw a bright flash, then felt the blast, knocking them off their beat. But here's the thing. When scientists finally arrived years later, they found something strange. There was no giant hole where a meteorite or asteroid should have hit. Instead, there were miles of trees, all knocked down, lying in neat rows, pointing away from a central spot. It was as if a giant invisible hand had pressed down from above. So, what caused it? That's the big question. A mystery still echoing today. Was it a comet, exploding in the air? Maybe an asteroid fragment that burned up completely? Or something else entirely? Think about when a sudden, intense thought or emotion seems to come from nowhere, changing how you see everything. You feel its impact, but can't point to a single cause. That's how this event feels to those who study it. The Tunguska event reminds us that our world and the universe hold incredible power and hidden stories. Some events simply defy easy explanations, leaving us to wonder about vast, unseen forces. It's a humbling thought. Even with all our knowledge, some moments remain wrapped in a silent, powerful enigma. Like a deep breath the earth took and held. The Dyatlov Pass incident. Hikers lost to the cold. Have you ever looked at a vast, silent mountain and felt a shiver, wondering what ancient secrets it might hold within its frozen peaks? Imagine a group of 9 young, experienced hikers, full of courage and a zest for adventure, setting out into the snowy Ural Mountains in Russia. Back in 1959, they were seeking the challenge of the wilderness, ready to face the biting winds and deep snow. But then, in the quiet, desolate landscape, something went terribly, utterly wrong. Their camp was found, high on a slope, with their tent strangely cut open from the inside, as if someone had frantically torn their way out. What unfolded next was a chilling, unforgettable mystery that has haunted minds for decades. The hikers' bodies were eventually found scattered, some miles away, in the deep, unforgiving snow. But here's the problem, the truly puzzling part. Some were barely clothed in the sub-zero temperatures, others had strange, severe injuries, broken ribs, crushed skulls, yet there were no clear signs of a struggle with other people, or any typical animal attack. It was like finding a broken, complex machine, and no matter how hard you study the pieces, they simply refuse to fit into a logical explanation. It's a bit like when you're trying to understand a really complicated math problem in class, and you've checked all your steps, looked at all the numbers, but the final answer just isn't what it should be. The puzzle pieces don't add up. With the Dyatlov Pass, the details simply refused to form a clear, understandable picture. Was it a rare, sudden natural event that defied all logic? Something unknown and terrifying hidden deep in the wild? Or something else entirely that whispers on the wind? This story reminds us that even when we think we understand the world, with all our maps and science, there are still forces and moments that remain entirely beyond our grasp. The vast mountains, silent and watchful, kept their secrets then, and they keep them still. And sometimes, the most profound answers aren't found at all, but instead, they linger as a quiet question, a deep breath of the unknown, echoing in the cold, vast emptiness of the wild. It shows us how small we are against the immense, mysterious power of nature, and how some stories are destined to remain just that, stories whispered in the wind. The missing Roman legion, where did they go? Imagine a group of nearly 5,000 people, strong and organized, marching off on a journey, and then, one day, they just aren't there anymore. Not a few, but an entire force, gone without a trace. This isn't a made-up story. This is about the Roman Empire, a time when armies were massive and powerful. Specifically, it's about the 9th Legion, also called Hispania, a famous fighting force. Around the year 122 AD, this legion was stationed in Roman Britain, way up north. They were sent out, perhaps to fight against the local tribes, or maybe to build something important. But here's the problem. They vanished. Not just a few soldiers, but thousands. A whole entire army gone. There are no clear records of them being destroyed in battle. No mass graves found that point directly to their end. It's like they walked into a heavy mist and never came out. For centuries, people have wondered, what happened? Did they get lost in the wild, rugged lands? Were they ambushed and completely wiped out, leaving no one alive to tell the tale? Or did they simply ... fade away? Think about it like this. Imagine your whole class, your teachers, your bus driver, all heading out on a field trip to a distant forest. And then, silence. No calls, no texts, no one ever comes back, and no one ever finds the bus, or any signs of what happened. Just a huge, empty space where everyone used to be. That's the feeling this mystery gives us, but on a much bigger, more ancient scale. The missing Roman legion reminds us that even the greatest empires and the strongest armies can disappear, leaving behind only quiet questions. It teaches us about the fragile nature of history, how moments can be lost forever, and how sometimes the most profound answers are found not in what we know, but in the echoes of what we don't. It's a silence that speaks volumes about how much of our past is still a mystery, hidden just out of reach. The wow signal, a whisper from deep space. Have you ever wondered if anyone else is out there, beyond our tiny planet? Like really out there, among the stars? For decades, people have listened, hoping to catch a sign, a whisper, from the vast emptiness of space. And one night, in 1977, something truly extraordinary happened. It was late, deep in the night. At the big Eerie radio telescope in Ohio, a volunteer named Jerry Emin was scanning data, just numbers and codes on a printout. Suddenly, one sequence jumped out. It was a burst of radio waves, incredibly strong and clear, unlike anything they had ever heard. This signal lasted for about 72 seconds, and it came from a part of the sky where there are no planets or stars. We know if it was so unusual, so perfect, that Jerry circled it on the printout and wrote, "Wow," next to it, and that's how it got its name. Here's the thing, we send out signals all the time. Radio waves, TV shows, all kinds of electronic chatter. Imagine you're standing on Earth, and someone far, far away sends you a text. But it's not just a random jumble. It's a perfectly formed message, clear as a bell, like a single, clear note played on a piano from across an empty football field. And then, silence. That's what the wow signal felt like. A brief, perfect hello, and then nothing. For years, scientists have tried to find it again. They've listened, searched, pointed telescopes back at that spot in the sky, but it's never returned. Was it a message from another civilization, billions of miles away? Or was it just a strange, one-time cosmic event, a natural whisper that tricked us into thinking it was meant for us? We don't know, and that's the beauty of it. This unsolved mystery reminds us how much we still have to learn, and how truly vast and full of wonder our universe is. It makes you think about our place, doesn't it? Just one small planet, listening, still listening. Déjà vu. that strange feeling you've been here before. Asterisk, asterisk, déjà vu. That strange feeling you've been here before. Asterisk, asterisk. Have you ever walked into a new place, or heard a new song, and felt a sudden, strong sense that you've experienced this exact moment before? It's a strange whisper, a feeling like an echo bouncing back from a dream you can't quite remember. This curious feeling has a name, déjà vu. It's French for already seen, and it's that strange sense of something new, feeling familiar. For ages, people wondered about it. Some thought it was a memory from a past life. Others believed it was a glimpse into the future. But here's what scientists often say. Déjà vu is mostly a trick our brain plays. It's not a magic sign. Instead, it's often a tiny glitch, a hiccup, in how our brain handles information. Imagine your brain like a super-fast computer, constantly taking in new info. Sometimes, when something new happens, a new sight, sound or smell, different parts of your brain get the message at slightly different times. So, one part might get a quick preview just before the other part fully processes it. This tiny delay makes the new experience feel like an old memory. It's like seeing a picture for the first time, but a split second earlier. Your brain briefly scanned it, making it feel strangely familiar. So, when that strange feeling washes over you, remember, it's not magic. It's just your brain doing its amazing, complex work. It's a moment to pause and wonder at how our minds work. It reminds us that even simple feelings can hold deep mysteries. This small, fleeting sensation quietly points to the vast, hidden depths inside each of us, showing the beautiful complexity of being human. Dreams. Why our minds tell us stories at night. Have you ever woken up from a dream? Maybe one where you were flying, or running through a maze, and felt a strange echo in your mind, like you'd just visited another world. Here's the thing. Dreams are one of the most personal and puzzling mysteries we face every single night. They are the stories our minds tell us when the world outside grows quiet and we slip into sleep. For centuries, people have wondered about dreams. Ancient cultures believed dreams were messages from gods or glimpses into the future. Some thought they were spirits. Even now, with all our science, dreams remain a beautiful, complex puzzle. We know that during certain stages of sleep, especially REM sleep, our brains become incredibly active, almost like they're putting on a silent movie just for us. So, why do our brains do this? One idea is that dreams are our mind's way of sorting through the day. Think of your brain like a giant library. All day, new books come in, experiences, feelings, facts. When you sleep, your brain organizes those books. It files away memories, makes sense of what happened, and even practices skills. Sometimes, it processes emotions, turning worries or joys into wild, symbolic scenes. It's like your brain is quietly working behind the scenes, making sense of everything, and dreams are just the visuals of that process. Sometimes a dream feels so real, it leaves a trace of wonder, or even a hint of sadness, long after we wake up. They remind us that there's a whole other world within us, one that keeps living and creating even when we are unaware, and that's why it matters. Dreams are a secret language our own minds speak to us, a deep whisper from our inner selves, reminding us how much there is to explore, not just outside, but truly, deeply, inside ourselves. Each dream is a tiny, fleeting journey into the very heart of who we are. The Tao's hum, a sound only some can hear. Have you ever felt like you heard something? A faint sound, but when you asked others, they heard nothing at all. Imagine that feeling, but stretched out over years, a low hum, a soft rumble that never quite goes away. This is the mystery of the Tao's hum. In the quiet town of Taos, New Mexico, some residents, only a small number, have reported hearing a persistent, low-frequency sound. It's not a car, not the wind, not a leaky pipe. It's just ... there. Often, it's heard more clearly indoors, a deep, vibrating hum that can be maddening for those who experience it. For decades, people in Taos have described this strange phenomenon. Scientists have tried to find its source, using all sorts of fancy equipment. They've looked for vibrations in the earth, listened for signals from the sky, and checked for hidden machinery. But here's the thing, they haven't found anything. It's a sound that seems to exist only for the ears that can pick it up. Think about how a dog can hear sounds at a much higher pitch than humans, or how some people can feel a tiny tremor in the ground that others don't even notice. The Tao's hum is kind of like that, but for a deep, constant noise. It's like a secret channel that only certain people can tune into, a constant background noise to their lives that most of us are completely unaware of. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if our understanding of the world, what we hear, what we see, what we feel, is not exactly the same for everyone? The Taos hum reminds us that reality itself might be a little more complex, a little more mysterious than we think. It's a quiet reminder that there are still so many things beyond our current understanding. And maybe, just maybe, some truths are felt or heard by only a few. And that's why it matters. It makes us pause, makes us listen more closely, not just to the world around us, but to the experiences of others. 2. The Mona Lisa's smile. What is she thinking? Have you ever looked at a face in a painting and felt like it was looking right back at you, holding a secret? Imagine a painting, hundreds of years old, still making people wonder and guess. We're talking about the Mona Lisa, and especially her smile. It's one of the world's most famous paintings, and probably its biggest mystery. Her smile is soft, almost shy. But here's the thing, it seems to shift. Sometimes it looks like a warm, gentle smile. Other times it vanishes, turning into a simple, calm expression. People have spent centuries trying to figure out what she's feeling, or what Leonardo da Vinci, the artist, intended. Was she happy, sad, just peaceful, or maybe, just maybe, was she playing a little trick on us? This isn't just about what she was thinking, it's also about what we see. Think about how your own feelings change, what you notice. Like when you listen to a song, sometimes it sounds hopeful, other times a bit sad, depending on how you feel. Or, think about optical illusion drawings, where one picture can look like two different things, depending on how you look at it. The Mona Lisa's smile is a bit like that. Da Vinci used a technique, blurring the edges of her mouth and eyes, making the smile hard to pin down. It's not just a painting, it's an experience. So the mystery isn't really what was she thinking. The deeper mystery is how a simple brushstroke can hold so much power, reflecting our own wonder back at us. It reminds us that some questions don't have one simple answer. Instead, they invite us to look closer, to feel more deeply. Her quiet gaze tells us that some of the most profound things are found not in what is said, but in what is felt and left unsaid. The ancient city of Petra, carved into the rock. But why? Imagine a city not built with bricks, stacked high, but carved right out of the mountain itself. How incredible is that? Petra, hidden away in the deserts of Jordan, is one of the most astonishing places on Earth. Its most famous building, the Treasury, with its grand columns and intricate details, isn't a building in the usual sense. It's a sculpture, a giant piece of art chiseled directly from the sandstone cliffs. For centuries, people have marveled at it, wondering, why go through so much trouble? Why not just build on flat ground? This incredible place was home to the Nabateans, an ancient Arab people. They were clever traders, controlling routes where spices and perfumes moved across vast deserts. They chose this hidden valley, protected by narrow canyons, as their capital. But they didn't just live there, they shaped it. They carved temples, tombs, and homes right into the rock face. It took unbelievable effort, generations of slow, patient work, picking away at the stone. Think about a time you tried to make something perfect, maybe a detailed drawing or a complex model. You know the focus it takes, the hours of careful work. Now imagine that on the scale of an entire city, using only simple tools against solid rock. Perhaps they carved for safety, making their city hidden and strong against invaders. Or maybe it was a way to show their power, their faith, their deep connection to the earth itself. They wanted their homes, their sacred places, to last forever, to become part of the very land. And in doing so, they left us a message written in stone, a quiet question echoing through the ages. What do you wish to make that will stand the test of time? What efforts are truly worth the deep carving into existence, leaving a mark that whispers of presence long after we are gone? Petra reminds us that some mysteries aren't about secrets hidden away, but about the profound choices of people long ago, and the echoes they leave behind. It makes us feel small, yet connected to the vast human story, wondering about the dreams that pushed them to shape mountains. The Peary race map, showing lands no one knew. Have you ever looked at an old photo and wondered what secrets it holds? What if that photo showed something impossible for its time? Imagine a map, drawn over 500 years ago, that seems to show lands no one alive then was supposed to know about. That's the Peary race map. made in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral, Piri Reis. This map is more than just old paper. It's a real puzzle. It shows the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, and even parts of the Antarctic coastline. But here's the thing. Antarctica wasn't officially found until hundreds of years later, and the map shows its coastline without ice. Antarctica has been under thick ice for thousands of years. Its true shoreline hidden. So, how could a 1500s map show a landmass unexplored then, and as it looked thousands of years ago, before the ice? That's the real mystery. It suggests Piri Reis, or the old maps he copied, held knowledge that shouldn't have existed then. It's like someone from the 1800s drawing a perfect map of the brain's connections, long before we could see them. It makes you wonder, did ancient people know more than we think? Or were there other explorers, forgotten by history, who traveled the world long before we knew? This map gently asks us to rethink what we know about history. It reminds us our world's story might be richer, more mysterious than our books say. It's a quiet whisper from the past, hinting our world has always been a little more connected, a little more explored than we imagine. And that's why it matters. It helps us see there's so much more to learn, more puzzle pieces waiting, hidden beneath what we think is true. The Great Pyramid of Giza, how was it truly built? Imagine standing at the base of something so vast, so ancient, it seems to touch the very clouds. The Great Pyramid of Giza. It has stood for thousands of years, a silent giant, guarding one of humanity's most enduring questions. How did people, so long ago, build something so huge, so perfect, without the machines we have today? This isn't just about moving big rocks. It's about human ingenuity, belief, and incredible effort. Think about it. Over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing as much as a car, or even a truck, lifted, moved, and stacked with unbelievable precision to create a structure taller than any skyscraper for thousands of years. It was built as a tomb, a grand stairway to the stars for a pharaoh, a king seen as a god. The sheer scale of the project is mind-boggling. No clear records, no ancient blueprints detail the exact methods. How did they get those massive stones from distant quarries? How did they lift them hundreds of feet into the air and place them so perfectly? It's like when you're working on a huge school project, something that feels impossible at first. Maybe you have to build a detailed model or write a long story. You break it down, step by step, day by day. You use every tool you have, every bit of your mind, and you rely on your team. The ancient Egyptians, facing an even greater challenge, must have done something similar. They used ramps, probably, and brute force, an amazing organization. But the exact secrets of their methods remain hidden. Whispered on the desert winds, we don't have one simple answer for how it was done. No instruction manual survived, and that's okay. Sometimes, the mystery itself is the most powerful lesson. It reminds us of human will, of how much we can accomplish when we dream big and put our minds to something truly impossible. The pyramid stands there, quiet and grand, a testament to what belief and endless effort can create. A whisper from the past asking us what our generations will build. The disappearance of Flight MH370, a plane lost to the sea. Have you ever wondered what it feels like for something enormous to simply vanish? Like a massive ship sailing off the edge of the world, never to be seen again. That's a little like the story of Flight MH370. On March 8, 2014, a plane carrying 239 people took off from Kuala Lumpur, heading for Beijing. But it never arrived. Instead, somewhere over the vast, dark Indian Ocean, it disappeared. Just like that. Here's the thing. In our modern world, where satellites watch every corner of the Earth and technology tracks nearly everything, a huge passenger plane shouldn't just disappear. It's like losing your backpack in your own house. You know it's somewhere. But no matter how hard you search, you just can't find it. But imagine that feeling on a global scale, involving something as big as a plane, with no map or clue to guide you. For thousands of years, humans have faced the mystery of things lost to the sea. Brave explorers, ancient ships, even whole islands swallowed by waves. But this was different. This was a metal bird, full of people, gone in an instant, leaving behind only questions. And that's why this mystery feels so deep. Despite massive search efforts, despite all our best tools, the main part of MH370 and the people on board remain lost. It reminds us that even with all our knowledge and power, there are still parts of our world, like the ocean's depths, that hold on to their secrets fiercely. It's a quiet, humbling reminder that sometimes the unknown remains just that, unknown, and sometimes we must live with the echoes of questions that may never find their answers. The Baltic Sea anomaly, a shape on the ocean floor. Have you ever looked at a really old, blurry photo and wondered what exactly you were seeing? Or found a strange object and just couldn't figure out what it was? Here's the thing, our own planet holds mysteries just like that, deep beneath the waves. One of these is the Baltic Sea anomaly. Back in 2011, a team of ocean explorers was using special sonar equipment. This equipment sends out sound waves that bounce off things on the seafloor, creating a picture. They were mapping the bottom of the Baltic Sea, which is a cold, dark body of water in northern Europe. And then they found something truly strange. Their sonar showed a giant, circular object, almost perfectly round, sitting silently on the seabed. It was huge, about 200 feet across, looking like a massive, flattened cylinder or disc. It didn't look like any natural rock formation we know. It didn't look like a shipwreck. It was just there, and it has stayed there, a silent question mark at the bottom of the ocean. Humans have always been explorers, looking for what lies beyond the horizon. For thousands of years, we've found things that made no sense at first. Think of ancient markings on cave walls that nobody can read today, or huge stone structures built by people we barely understand. The deep ocean is our last great unknown place on Earth. It's a vast, dark world where light barely reaches and pressure is immense, and it holds secrets we can barely imagine. This anomaly is one of them. It reminds us that even with all our advanced tools and powerful computers, our planet is still full of surprises. Some things may never fully give up their truths, and maybe that's part of their wonder. The deep sea keeps its silent counsel, and we are left to ponder its profound, beautiful mysteries, quietly waiting for us to understand. The bloop, a huge sound from the deep ocean. Have you ever wondered what truly lies in the deepest, darkest parts of our ocean? Far below where sunlight cannot reach, where pressure crushes everything. It's a place of vast silence. But sometimes, something truly mysterious breaks that silence. Here's the thing. In 1997, scientists heard an incredible sound in the Pacific Ocean. They called it the bloop. This was an ultra-low frequency sound, so deep you'd feel it more than hear it. It was incredibly loud, far louder than any known animal, even a blue whale. This powerful rumble echoed for over a minute, traveling thousands of miles. For years, scientists were puzzled. What could make such a colossal sound? Was it a giant, unknown creature swimming in the dark? Was it geological, like huge icebergs breaking apart, or perhaps volcanic activity? The idea of such an animal sparked both wonder and awe. It makes you think how little we truly understand our own planet. Imagine you're outside, and you hear a deep, booming sound. It's unlike anything before. It shakes the ground. You look around, but there's nothing obvious. You just know something enormous made that noise. That's a bit like what the bloop was for scientists. They had the sound, but no clear source. Later, some thought it might have been a giant icequake. That's when massive icebergs break and crack in polar waters. The vibrations travel incredibly far. Even if that's the answer, the bloop reminds us our world, especially its vast oceans, still holds grand secrets. They make us pause and simply wonder. Mystery isn't always a problem to solve. Sometimes it's a beautiful truth to quietly accept. The unknown can be as inspiring as the known. The Black Dahlia, Hollywood's unsolved old mystery. Imagine a secret, hidden away for decades, refusing to fade. What if that secret involved a dream, and a dark, sudden ending? That's a bit like the mystery of the Black Dahlia. Her real name was Elizabeth Short. She was young, only 22, and had come to Los Angeles with big hopes, like so many others drawn to the bright lights of Hollywood. She wanted to be an actress, to see her name in lights, to live the glamorous life she'd only read about, but her story ended in a shocking, terrible way in January 1947. Her body was discovered in a vacant lot in a gruesome, unforgettable scene. It was a brutal crime that shocked a nation still recovering from war. For over 70 years, her killer has never been found. The case became famous, not just as a crime, but as a symbol of Hollywood's dark side, a place where dreams could shatter so terribly. Think about how we hold on to stories, especially unfinished ones. This isn't just a police file. It's a deep wound in time, a question mark stamped across history. It's like when you're reading a really good mystery novel, and you get to the very last page, but the final chapter is completely missing. You keep rereading, searching for the answer, for that sense of closure, but it's just not there. That feeling of wanting to know, of needing to understand. That's how this mystery feels, but on a much bigger, real-life scale. The clues exist, the questions linger, but the ultimate answer remains just out of reach. Like a whisper on the wind you can almost hear. The Black Dahlia case reminds us that some questions might never get their full answer. It teaches us about the fragility of life and the lasting echo of a story cut short. It's a quiet testament to the enduring human need to understand, to find order in chaos, even when some puzzles are designed to stay unsolved. And perhaps, sometimes, the deepest lessons come from the questions themselves, not just the answers we wish we had. Her memory and the mystery live on, a silent reminder of what was lost and what remains hidden, forever part of the whispered legends of old Hollywood. The Philadelphia Experiment, a ship vanishing in time. Have you ever wondered if a ship could just vanish, not sail away, but truly disappear from sight, then reappear somewhere else? It sounds like a secret, maybe a dream, but there's an old legend about just that. The Philadelphia Experiment. This tale claims that during World War II, a U.S. Navy ship, the USS Eldridge, was part of a top-secret project. The goal? Make it invisible to enemy radar. Scientists supposedly used powerful electrical fields. The story says it didn't just become invisible. Some say it completely vanished from the Philadelphia Navy Yard. Poof. Moments later, it supposedly popped up briefly in Norfolk, Virginia, then reappeared back in Philadelphia. Imagine looking at an old photo. You see a familiar room, but then a shadow seems to shift, like something was there and wasn't, or the room itself warped. That's a bit like this story. It's a blurry image, a whisper of something impossible. We don't have hard proof it happened. The Navy denies it, calling it a myth. But here's why it matters. The story makes us think. It makes us wonder about science's hidden edges, about things we don't fully understand. It asks if time and space are as solid as we believe. Sometimes, the most powerful stories give us more questions than answers. They pull us into quiet wonder, reminding us that the world holds mysteries that might just stay, for a while, out of reach. Poe's death, a poet's last confusing days. Have you ever thought about how a story ends, not just in a book, but in real life? Sometimes, the final chapter stays a mystery, even for people who lived truly public lives. That's certainly the case for Edgar Allan Poe, a writer whose words often explored darkness and the unknown. He was known for his haunting poems and creepy short stories, tales that made you feel a shiver, a quiet wonder. But the end of his own story is perhaps his greatest, most puzzling mystery. In the autumn of 1849, Poe was found in Baltimore, confused and unwell. He wasn't dressed in his own clothes, and he seemed to be in a daze, unable to explain how he got there or what had happened to him. Just a few days later, he passed away. What caused this sudden, strange turn? No one knows for sure. Was it a sickness, a terrible accident, or something more troubling? The questions hang in the air, like forgotten whispers in an old, empty house. It's a bit like when you try to remember a dream right after you wake up. You know something big happened, you feel the emotion of it, but the details are blurry, hard to grasp, and they slip away the more you try to hold them. You're left with a feeling, but not a clear picture. Poe's last days are like that for us, a fragmented memory, full of shadows and missing pieces. And here's the thing, maybe that's part of why his work still speaks to us. His own life, ending in such an unclear way, mirrors the very mysteries. He wrote about the things we can't fully understand, the fears that hide just out of sight. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound truths aren't about having all the answers, but about living with the questions and finding beauty, even in what we can't explain. The curse of Tutankhamun, mummies and bad luck. Imagine a whispered warning, carried on the desert wind for thousands of years. A hidden tomb, finally opened, and then a string of strange, unsettling events. Could it be more than just bad luck? This is the heart of the mystery surrounding the curse of Tutankhamun. In 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter and his patron, Lord Carnarvon, made an amazing discovery. the untouched tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. It was a moment of pure awe, seeing treasures untouched for centuries. But soon after, a shadow seemed to fall. Lord Carnarvon, just months after the tomb was opened, died suddenly. People whispered about a curse. Then, others connected to the tomb's opening also began to pass away, one after another, in what seemed like unusual ways. Was it just a coincidence, or was it the ancient pharaoh, disturbed from his eternal sleep, reaching out from beyond the grave? Here's the thing about curses, or the idea of them. They often grow in the unknown. When mysterious things happen, and bad things follow, our minds naturally look for a connection, a reason. It's like when you wear your lucky socks for a game and your team wins. You might believe the socks made a difference, even though you know it was skill. Or, if you have a really bad day, you drop your phone, then lose your keys. You might think you're cursed, when it's probably just unconnected events. The story of Tutankhamun's curse reminds us of something powerful about being human. We look for answers, for patterns in life's chaos. We want to believe there's a deeper meaning to bad luck, something beyond random chance. Maybe the real curse isn't a spell, but our own deep need to explain the unexplainable, to give shape to our fears. It's a quiet whisper of how the past, and our stories, continue to shape how we see the world. The man in the iron mask, who was hiding inside. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live a life where no one, not even your closest friends, knew your true identity? Imagine being hidden away, not just in a prison, but behind a mask you could never take off. This isn't just a story. It's one of history's deepest mysteries, the man in the iron mask. For centuries, whispers have floated through time about a prisoner held in France during the reign of King Louis XIV. A long time ago, this person was forced to wear a mask, not always iron, sometimes velvet, but always covering their face. No one knew who they were. Was it a powerful noble, a twin brother of the king, or someone else whose very existence threatened the crown? No one knows for sure. And that's the thing that makes it so haunting. This person lived for years without a face, without a name, without truly being seen. Think about it like this. Imagine how you feel when you're trying to understand a new math problem, and you just can't see the answer. It's frustrating, right? Now, imagine living your whole life like that. But the puzzle isn't a math problem, it's your own self. You're there, but you can't show who you are. The mask became a symbol of a lost life, a silent scream for identity. It makes you think about how important it is just to be yourself, to have your own name, to show your face to the world. This story makes us feel a little sad, doesn't it? It's a quiet reminder of what it means to be truly free and to be known for who you are. The man in the iron mask may never have been identified, but their forgotten story reminds us to value our own unique place in the world, and the simple truth of being ourselves. The Dancing Plague, a town that couldn't stop moving. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head, so much that you just had to tap your foot or hum along? It feels like your body has a mind of its own, just for a moment. But imagine that feeling, not just for a moment, but for days, even weeks. Imagine your body moving, spinning, twisting, and you couldn't make it stop. That's what happened in the summer of 1518, in a town called Strasbourg. It started with one woman, Frau Trafia. She began to dance in the street, seemingly out of nowhere. Then, others joined her. Soon, dozens, then hundreds, were caught in this strange, unstoppable rhythm. People danced in the heat, day and night, their bodies giving out from exhaustion, hunger, even heart attacks. It wasn't a party. It was a terrifying, unexplained event. Here's the thing. Nobody knows why it happened. Doctors and priests tried to help, even suggesting different ways to stop it, but nothing worked. It was like an invisible force had taken over the town. Imagine if like a wave of unstoppable yawning spread through your whole school, and you just couldn't stop yawning, even when it hurt your jaw. It's hard to think of something that takes away your control like that. This strange, sad event makes you wonder about the deep mysteries of the human mind and body. It reminds us how powerful our connections can be, sometimes in ways we don't even understand. How does one person's action turn into a whole town's tragedy? It shows us that there are still so many quiet corners of history, and even our own minds, that hold secrets we might never fully unlock. It's a reminder of how fragile we are, and how much we still have to learn about ourselves. Spring-heeled Jack, a leaping terror in Old England, Have you ever heard a strange noise outside at night and wondered what it was? Or seen a shadow move quickly and felt a shiver? Sometimes, these small, unexplained moments can grow into much bigger stories, shaping what a whole community believes. Imagine Victorian England, a time of gas lamps and cobblestone streets. People there whispered about a figure known as Spring-Heeled Jack. This wasn't just a simple prankster. This was someone, or something, that appeared suddenly at night, terrifying people with powerful leaps. He was described as having glowing eyes, sharp claws, and sometimes a helmet or a cape. He could jump incredibly high walls and seemed to vanish into thin air. He became a living nightmare for many dots. So, was he real? Or was he a fear given a name? This mystery started in the 1830s and went on for decades. Some thought it was a cruel prank by bored rich men. Others believed it was something supernatural, a demon or a ghost. The idea of Spring-Heeled Jack spread because people were already living with anxieties. Cities grew fast, new technologies felt scary, and crime was a constant worry. When life feels uncertain, our minds can create monsters to explain the unknown. Think about when you're watching a scary movie. You know it's not real, but your heart still pounds. Or when you tell a scary story around a campfire. Each person adds a little something, making the story bigger, scarier, and more alive. Jack was like that. He was a story that people helped build, fueled by their own fears and what they thought they saw. It's how our minds try to make sense of things we don't understand, even if that sense is a terrifying, leaping figure. The real mystery of Spring-Heeled Jack isn't just about who or what he was. It's about how our own imaginations, mixed with fear and uncertainty, can create powerful myths. It teaches us about the human need to explain the unexplainable, even when the explanation is unsettling. It shows us how stories, even scary ones, can become a real part of a community's history, reflecting its fears. And it makes us wonder, what modern Spring-Heeled Jacks are we creating today, without even realizing it? The ghost ship Kaluk, a Chilean legend in the fog. Have you ever felt a whisper of something just beyond what you can see? A story carried on the wind. Along the misty, island-dotted coast of Chile, there's a legend woven into the very fog itself. The ghost ship Kaluk. People say this ship sails beneath the waves by day, rising only at night, glowing with lights, its music and laughter echoing across the water. It's said to be crewed by drowned sailors, brought back to life, and protected by mermaids and sea spirits for centuries. Those who lived by the ocean faced powerful, often terrifying unknowns. Ships would vanish, swallowed by storms, leaving no trace. The Kaluk became a way to make sense of these vanishings, a kind of floating afterlife for those lost at sea. It wasn't just a scary story. It was a way to give shape to sorrow, to believe that those taken by the waves weren't truly gone, but had simply joined another unseen journey. Here's the thing. Think about a time you tried to remember a dream right after waking up. It felt real. You knew what happened, but the details slipped away, leaving only a feeling, a blurred image. The Kaluk is a bit like that for a whole community. It's a shared dream, a collective memory of the ocean's power and its mysteries. Even if you don't literally believe in a ghost ship, the story itself is real, living in people's minds and hearts, passed down through generations. So, the Kaluk isn't just a Chilean myth. It's a quiet testament to how humans deal with the vast, unexplainable parts of life. It reminds us that sometimes, the stories we tell ourselves, the legends we keep alive, are our way of holding on to hope, or making peace with what we don't understand. They are the echoes of human feeling, sailing on long after the actual events have faded, showing us that even in mystery, there can be a strange, enduring beauty. The Lost Dutchman's gold mine, a treasure nobody finds. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to find a treasure? Not just a few old coins, but something massive, life-changing. Imagine a story whispered through canyons, a tale of glittering gold and endless searching. In the rugged Superstition Mountains of Arizona, that story lives. The Lost Dutchman's gold mine. They say a man named Jacob Waltz, the Dutchman, found a rich vein there in the 1800s. He took some out, but the exact spot he kept secret. When he died, the secret died with him. For over a century, countless people have looked. They've faced scorching heat, dangerous terrain, strange mysteries. Some disappeared, others found only hardship. It's more than just a search for riches. It's about hope, a dream of striking it rich, of proving something. It's about the deep human desire to discover what's hidden, to unlock a world's secret. Think of all the dusty trails walked, all the old maps followed. It speaks to a part of us that yearns for adventure, for a transformed life. It's a bit like when you lose something truly important, maybe a favorite book. You search everywhere, turn over every cushion, look under every bed. Even when it seems impossible, a tiny spark of hope keeps you going. The Lost Dutchman's mine is that feeling, stretched across generations, fueled by a legend so powerful it pulls people from ordinary lives. And so, the mine remains lost. Maybe it was found and secretly emptied. Maybe it never existed, just a beautiful, haunting dream. But here's the thing, the story itself, the unending quest, teaches us something. It reminds us how powerful a simple hope can be. It shows us how humans are drawn to the unknown, to the edge of what's possible. It makes us think about what we truly value, the treasure itself, or the incredible journey we take, chasing a whisper of gold. The real mystery isn't just where the gold is, but why we keep looking, drawn by the invisible pull of a dream. The secret of Oak Island, money pits, and buried dreams. Have you ever thought about how some mysteries just grab hold of people, pulling them in for generations? Not just a quick puzzle, but something that becomes a life's work for entire families. That's the story of Oak Island, a small island off Nova Scotia. For over 200 years, this island has whispered promises of a hidden treasure. It began with a legend about lights on the island. A young boy found a strange depression. Below it, logs and layers of coconut fiber and clay were found, arranged in an odd way. People called it the money pit. It seemed designed to protect something valuable, pirate gold, or ancient jewels, or documents. Here's the thing, countless people have tried to dig up whatever is down there. They've spent fortunes, poured their lives into the search. Some have even lost their lives to the island's clever traps and unexpected floods. But the island never truly gives up its secrets. It's like a silent guardian. Imagine trying to solve a complicated riddle with no clear answer. You find clues, small hints that feel like they lead somewhere. You get excited, dig, but then hit a dead end. You know the answer is there, just out of reach, and that feeling keeps you going. Oak Island is like that, a riddle buried deep in earth and history. The island becomes a character, holding its breath. So, what does this enduring mystery teach us? Maybe the real secret isn't just what is hidden, but why we keep looking. Perhaps the true treasure isn't gold, but the human spirit to explore, question, chase a dream, even when the path is unclear. It reminds us that sometimes, the search itself, the shared hope, and the stories we create, are the most valuable things. The island remains, a quiet question mark, asking us what we truly seek. The Beale ciphers, 3 codes, hiding a fortune. What if a secret, whispered across time, held the key to an unimaginable fortune? Imagine pure gold, gleaming silver, and precious jewels, all hidden, waiting to be found. This isn't just a fantasy, it's the core of the Beale ciphers, one of the world's most enduring mysteries. Here's the thing about this story. In the early 1800s, a man named Thomas Jefferson Beale claimed he buried a vast treasure in rural Virginia. He didn't leave a map. Instead, he left 3 coded messages, or ciphers, in a string box. One cipher described the treasure, what it was, and how much. The second revealed its exact location. The third would name the rightful heirs. But here's the problem. Only the second cipher has ever been cracked. This one, amazingly, used the Declaration of Independence as its key, revealing what was there. Yet, the other 2 messages, the ones telling us where to dig and who the treasure belongs to, remain unbroken. They are just lines of jumbled numbers, silently guarding their secrets for centuries. It's like being given a soup riddle. You figure out a piece, but the most important parts stay locked. You know there's an answer, a clear meaning, but you can't quite grasp it. Every number holds hope and frustration for those who try. Think about a time you tried to solve a really tough puzzle, maybe in a video game. The Beale ciphers are like that, but on a grander scale, with the quiet promise of history hanging in the balance. So, the treasure sits somewhere. Maybe the true mystery isn't just the gold, but the powerful human urge to seek answers. It's about our endless curiosity. These ciphers remind us that some stories aren't meant to be fully known. The journey of understanding can be as rich as any buried fortune. The quiet challenge they offer continues, a silent testament to secrets kept in riddles yet to be solved, inviting us to wonder. Always. The green children of Woolpit, kids from another place. Have you ever felt like you just dropped into a place you didn't belong? Like everything around you was totally new and strange? Imagine that feeling, but amplified 1,000 times. That's a bit like the mystery of the green children of Woolpit. Back in England, many hundreds of years ago, 2 children just showed up in a small village. They looked like regular kids, but their skin had a strange, soft green tint. And here's the thing, they spoke a language no one had ever heard before. They seemed confused, scared, and very much alone. People in those times didn't travel much, so seeing someone totally different was a huge deal. No one knew where these children came from. Were they lost, from far away, or somewhere even stranger, beyond what people could imagine? It's like if you woke up tomorrow and suddenly everyone spoke a language you'd never heard, and they all had purple hair, but you were the only one who didn't. You'd feel pretty lost, wouldn't you? And they'd feel just as confused by you. Over time, the children learned to eat normal food, and slowly, the green color faded from their skin. They started to speak English. They told a story about a place with no sun, a kind of dim twilight land, where they lived with people like them. One of the children, the boy, got sick and died young, but the girl grew up, lived a normal life, and married, and that's why it matters. Her story, whether real or a legend, makes us wonder. It reminds us that our world is full of things we don't understand, places we can't imagine. Sometimes, the most unbelievable stories are the ones that make us think the hardest about what might truly be out there. It makes you feel how big and mysterious the world can be, even now. The Mothman, a warning in the sky. Have you ever felt a strange chill right before something big happened? Like a shiver down your spine, a whisper of unease in the air. In a quiet town called Point Pleasant, West Virginia, something truly odd was seen. People reported a tall, winged creature with glowing red eyes. They called it the Mothman. And here's the thing, these sightings often happened just before a terrible event. The most famous story links the Mothman to the Silver Bridge collapse in 1967. Over 40 people lost their lives when that huge bridge fell into the Ohio River. Many folks who saw the Mothman believed it was a warning, a dark sign sent from somewhere else. Was it trying to protect them, or was it just a silent watcher, a shadowy figure showing what was about to come? For hundreds of years, in different parts of the world, people have looked for signs in nature. Old stories are full of omens, like birds flying in strange ways, odd lights in the sky, or animals acting really weird. It's a bit like how, before a big storm, the air feels different, or your pet might get restless. You don't quite know why, but you can feel it. Maybe the Mothman is like that, a strange, unexplained sight that appears when our world is about to face something difficult. So, when we think about the Mothman, we're doing more than just thinking about a mysterious creature. We're thinking about why humans always try to understand things we don't know, to find meaning in chaos. It makes us wonder about secret connections, about powers we can't fully grasp. Perhaps it's a calm reminder that there are always mysteries right beyond our sight. These are things that ask us to pause, to feel, and to think about how delicate our life here on Earth truly is. It makes us wonder if sometimes the most important warnings aren't spoken, but simply felt, like a silent, red-eyed presence in the night sky. The Merry King's Close, shadows in Edinburgh's old alleys. Have you ever walked down an old, quiet street and felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather? Like the very stones remembered things, whispers of lives lived long ago. Deep below, the busy streets of Edinburgh, Scotland, there's a place just like that, Merry King's Close. It's not just an alley, it's a whole street, buried under newer buildings, frozen in time. Imagine a bustling old town, packed with people, narrow lanes, and tall, dark buildings. Merry King's Close was one of these, full of homes and shops. But then, in the 1600s, something terrible happened. The plague. This sickness swept through cities, taking lives quickly. Stories say that when the plague hit Merry King's Close, many people were sealed inside their homes, left to die to stop the sickness from spreading. We can't know for sure every detail of what happened, but the fear and the sadness must have been immense. So, here's the thing. Today, when you walk through the close, it feels different. Some say they feel a cold touch, or hear faint cries, or even see shadowy figures. People often report feeling sadness or unease, It's like the strong emotions from hundreds of years ago are still somehow stuck there. Think about how a sad song can still make you feel tearful, even if the person who wrote it is long gone. Or how a place where something important happened, like an old battlefield or a very old school building, can still give you a strong feeling. It's not magic, but it's like an echo. Our feelings, our experiences, leave an impression. The mystery of Mary King's Close isn't just about ghosts. It's about how places hold memories, especially of pain and loss. It makes us think about those forgotten lives, the courage they showed, and the quiet suffering. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that even after centuries, the human story, with all its joys and sorrows, still whispers to us from the shadows. The lost city of Z, an explorer's last journey. Have you ever wondered if there are places on Earth still completely hidden? Ancient, vast, only whispered about, tucked away from our maps. Here's the thing. A man named Percy Fawcett truly believed one such place existed, deep in the Amazon rainforest. He called it the lost city of Z. Fawcett was an explorer over 100 years ago, a time when much of the world was still a mystery on the map. People imagined grand civilizations hidden in thick jungles. Fawcett wasn't just guessing. He found old records and heard local legends about a sprawling, advanced city with towering walls and incredible riches. He spent years exploring, facing dangerous animals and tough conditions, always chasing this amazing dream. But here's the problem. In 1925, he, his son, and another companion walked into the jungle and never came back. No one knows what truly happened. Did they find Z and choose to stay? Did the jungle claim them? Their disappearance became a mystery, just like the city itself. Think about this. Maybe you've spent hours trying to find a hidden Easter egg in a video game, or searched for a secret path in your neighborhood you're sure exists. That feeling of something amazing just beyond your reach, that drive to discover it, that's what pulled Fawcett. He poured his whole life into that search. The lost city of Z reminds us that some mysteries aren't just about what's missing, but about the power of belief. It's about how far someone will go for a dream, even when that dream leads into silence. The story of Z is about the echo of human curiosity, still calling from the deep, green heart of the world. It reminds us that some journeys, even incomplete ones, can leave the biggest mark. What we search for often tells us more about ourselves than what we actually find. The Kensington Runestone, old words from far away. Have you ever found an old message hidden somewhere, like a note in a dusty book or a forgotten letter in a drawer? What if that message was carved into a huge rock, and it could change everything we thought we knew about history? That's the story of the Kensington Runestone. Imagine a farmer in Minnesota, over 100 years ago, digging up a flat, heavy stone covered in strange letters. These weren't English letters. They looked like runes, an ancient alphabet used by Vikings. The message carved into the stone seemed to say that Norse explorers had traveled deep into North America, far from the coast, in the year 1362. Think about that, centuries before Columbus. Here's the thing, if this stone is real, it means Vikings didn't just touch the edges of the continent. They were here, deep inland, hundreds of years earlier than most history books tell us. But many people look at the stone and its words and say, no way, it's a fake, a clever trick made long after the Vikings were gone. So, what do we believe? It's a bit like finding an old faded photograph in an antique shop. You see the faces, the old clothes, the blurry background. You wonder who these people were, what their lives were like. But you don't know for sure if the date on the back is true, or if it was just a joke someone played. You can feel a connection. To them, a whisper from the past. But the full truth remains just out of reach. The Kensington Runestone makes us pause and think about the past, not as a finished story, but as something still unfolding, still holding secrets. It reminds us that history isn't always neatly written in books. Sometimes, it's hidden in the earth, in old words from far away, inviting us to wonder, to question, and to feel the vast mystery of time itself. And maybe, some questions are meant to stay unanswered, keeping the wonder alive. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient computer from the sea. Have you ever wondered about the secrets the ocean holds, buried for centuries, waiting to tell us a story? Picture this, a shipwreck, deep under the waves, holding not just gold or jewels, but something far more surprising, something that changes how we think about the past. This is the tale of the Antikythera mechanism. Over 100 years ago, divers found a strange object in the sea near a Greek island. It looked like a corroded lump of bronze and wood, but as experts cleaned it, they saw something truly amazing. A network of gears, dials, and pointers, incredibly complex, almost like a giant clock. This wasn't just any old artifact. This was, in many ways, an ancient computer. It was built by brilliant Greek minds, more than 2,000 years ago. This machine could predict the movements of the sun, moon, and planets across the sky. It could even track eclipses. Imagine holding a device that, with a turn of a handle, showed you exactly where Mars would be next year, or when the next full moon would appear. Here's the thing. We often think of ancient people as less advanced than us, but this mechanism proves just how clever they truly were. Think about the apps on your phone that tell you the weather, or show you where the stars are tonight. The Antikythera mechanism did something similar, using pure mechanical genius, without electricity or modern parts. It reminds us that smart thinking is not new. It has been around forever, and that's why it matters. This object is a quiet whisper from the past, telling us that brilliant ideas can be lost, only to be found again. It makes you wonder about all the other wisdom that might be hidden, waiting for us to rediscover it. It shows us that human curiosity and the desire to understand the world, to map the heavens, are truly timeless. The screaming mummy, a pharaoh's sad face. Have you ever seen a picture or a statue, and even though it's still, you can almost feel the emotion coming from it, like a sad face that tells a whole story without saying a word? Well, imagine that, but from someone who lived thousands of years ago, their last moments frozen in time. This is the story of what people call the screaming mummy. It's one of the most haunting faces found from ancient Egypt. Instead of being wrapped carefully for a peaceful journey to the afterlife, this mummy's mouth is wide open, as if in a silent, agonizing scream. His face is twisted, his body not preserved with the usual care, but instead wrapped in a rough goatskin. This was a deep insult in ancient Egypt. It suggested he was a criminal, someone totally unworthy of eternal peace. So, here's what happened. Many believe this mummy is Prince Pentawere, a son of Pharaoh Ramses III. Records hint that Pentawere might have been part of a plot to kill his own father. If that's true, imagine the betrayal, the fear, the anger that would have swirled around him. The ancient Egyptians believed your journey to the afterlife depended on your body and your deeds. To have your body treated so disrespectfully, to be denied a proper burial, meant your soul would not find peace. It's a bit like when you're really upset or scared, and your face just shows it, right? Maybe your eyebrows scrunch up, or your mouth drops open. Sometimes our faces tell a story, even when we can't speak. This mummy's face does that, but across thousands of years, it whispers of a secret, a crime, and a punishment that was meant to erase him from history. But here's the thing, his face keeps screaming, keeps us wondering. It reminds us that even from so long ago, human stories of ambition, betrayal, and pain still echo. That silent scream is a powerful reminder that some mysteries, like the true story of Prince Pentawere, might always remain just out of our reach, leaving us only with questions and a deep, sad echo from the past. The unexplained lights of Hestilin, dancing in the valley. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, past the familiar stars, and wondered what else is out there, beyond what we can easily see or understand? What if strange lights danced in the darkness, not from planes or satellites, but from something truly unknown? In a quiet, remote valley in Norway, called Hestilin, people have seen just that for many decades. These aren't just faint glows, they're bright, mysterious lights that float, pulse, and sometimes even move with incredible speed. They can be white, yellow, red, or blue. Imagine seeing glowing orbs, silently drifting over the cold, dark landscape. It's like watching a silent, otherworldly ballet in the night. People have reported these lights for a very long time, especially since the early 1980s. Scientists have come to Hestilin, setting up cameras and equipment, trying to find answers. They've measured things, collected data, and still, the lights keep dancing. Some researchers think it could be a kind of natural electrical reaction in the ground, created by the rocks and minerals, releasing energy as light. Others wonder if it's something completely different, something we haven't even imagined yet. It reminds us that even with all our knowledge, the Earth holds many secrets, just like the vast universe around us. Think about when you look into a really deep, clear pond. You can see the surface, maybe some fish swimming, But what's down at the very bottom, in the shadows? You know there's more, even if you can't quite make it out. The Hestelan lights are a bit like that, a glimmer of something deeper, hidden in the world's everyday flow. And that's the thing about these lights. They hang there, a beautiful, unexplained question mark in the night. They whisper of a world still full of wonder, a reminder that not every puzzle has a simple answer. Sometimes, the most profound thing is simply to witness the unknown, to let its mystery sit with us, quietly, beautifully, inviting us to keep looking and keep wondering. The Bermuda Triangle's cousin, the Devil's Sea. Have you ever wondered if the Earth itself holds quiet secrets? Places where the usual rules just seem to bend and disappear. Just like the famous Bermuda Triangle, there's another spot on our planet known for its chilling mysteries. It's called the Devil's Sea, or sometimes the Dragon's Triangle. This mysterious area stretches off the coast of Japan, near Miyok Island. For hundreds of years, ships, even large ones, and sometimes planes have simply vanished there. No distress calls, no wreckage, just ... gone. Ancient Japanese legends spoke of mighty dragons living beneath the waves in this area, pulling ships down into their watery homes. Imagine the fear of sailors centuries ago, knowing tales of monsters lurked below. Today, we look for scientific reasons. Maybe strange magnetic fields mess with instruments, or sudden giant waves appear. Some scientists wonder about hidden underwater volcanoes or pockets of methane gas that could make a ship sink fast. But here's the thing, even with all our knowledge, these disappearances keep happening. It reminds us how little we understand about some parts of our own planet. It's a bit like when you lose something important in your house. Say, your favorite jacket. You know it's somewhere. You've looked everywhere, but it's just gone. That feeling of a puzzle you can't solve, right in front of you. The Devil's Sea is that feeling, but on a massive scale, where ships and lives are the missing pieces. These places, like the Devil's Sea, remind us that our world is incredibly big and full of things we can't easily explain. They whisper about nature's raw, untamed power and the vast unknown. And maybe that's okay. To accept that some stories remain untold, some secrets held close by the deep, dark sea. It invites us to be curious, to keep asking questions, but also to respect the quiet, powerful mysteries that lie beyond our grasp. The Giant of Kandahar, a soldier's story of a monster. Have you ever heard a story so strange, so far-fetched, that even though it sounds impossible, a tiny part of you still wonders if it could be true? Imagine soldiers, far from home, in a desert land called Afghanistan. It was 2002, and reports began to surface, whispered among military circles, about something truly unbelievable. In a place called Kandahar, a team of special forces soldiers, it's said, encountered a creature not just large, but enormous. Picture it, nearly 15 feet tall, with red hair and 6 fingers, carrying an ancient spear. They claimed they had to fight this being, this Giant of Kandahar. It sounds like something from a fantasy novel, not a modern military operation. For thousands of years, humans have told tales of giants. Think of the mighty Goliath from the Bible, or the one-eyed Cyclops from Greek myths. These stories aren't just for entertainment. They often show our deepest fears and our wonder about the vast unknown. They tap into a very old part of us that asks, what if there are still things out there, hidden from our maps and our science, things that defy everything we know? The Giant of Kandahar story touches that ancient human chord, making us feel small against the vastness of the unexplained. It's a bit like when you see a shape in the shadows at night, and for a split second, your mind jumps to something scary, even though it's just a coat on a chair. Our brains are wired to try and make sense of things that don't fit, sometimes by filling in the gaps with things from our imagination or from old stories we've heard. So, was this a real, living giant? A relic from another time? Or was it something else entirely, a tale born from the intense pressures and mysteries of a dangerous environment? Maybe the truth isn't as important as the story itself. This tale, like so many others, lives on in our minds. It reminds us that even in a world full of facts and technology, there are still whispers of wonder and corners of our understanding where the impossible can feel very real. And that's why these deeply human mysteries continue to capture our imaginations. The Yonaguni Monument, an underwater city or nature's art. Have you ever wondered what secrets the deep ocean holds? Imagine if, beneath the waves, lay something so vast so perfectly shaped, it could make you question everything we know about. Ancient times. Off the coast of Japan, near Yonaguni Island, rests an amazing underwater structure. It looks like a giant, stepped pyramid, or a massive, ancient city carved from rock. Divers found it, seeing flat terraces, sharp angles, and straight lines. It makes you gasp, wondering if you're looking at a forgotten world. But here's the thing, is it truly an ancient city, built by people thousands of years ago before the sea covered it? Or is it simply a masterpiece of nature? Geologists say strong currents and earthquakes can shape rock in surprisingly geometric ways. Think how wind and water carve canyons or smooth river stones. Nature can be a sculptor, creating formations that look almost too perfect. It's a bit like looking at clouds in the sky. One moment, you see a fluffy sheep. The next, it shifts and looks like a dragon. With Yonaguni, it's far more complex. Some believe those straight edges and perfect corners are too precise for nature alone. They see evidence of tools, of human hands, of a civilization we've yet to discover. The idea of a lost city under the sea, like mythical Atlantis, has always fascinated us. It makes us think about how much history might be hidden, how much we still don't understand about humanity's journey. This monument makes us consider our place in time, and what amazing things humans were capable of. So, is Yonaguni a silent, submerged city, a whisper from a forgotten past? Or is it the ocean's own grand artwork, reminding us of nature's incredible power? Maybe we'll never know for sure. But that's part of its beauty. It's a question mark etched into the seabed, inviting us to keep wondering, exploring, and dreaming of what lies beneath. The world holds such wonders, reminding us there's always more to learn. The jellophone sounds from an unknown instrument. Have you ever heard a sound you couldn't quite place? A distant hum, a soft melody on the air, something that makes you wonder, what was that? We've all felt that curious pull. Imagine that feeling, stretched over centuries, for an instrument no one has ever truly seen or understood. This is the enduring mystery of the geleuphone. It's not something you'd find in an orchestra. Instead, it's a distinct, complex melody, purportedly heard in ancient times across cultures. People described it as haunting, beautiful, always from an unknown source. Some thought it was divine, others from an unseen realm. It's a whisper from the past, a sound without physical origin. For thousands of years, humans have tried to explain the world. When something unexpected happens, like an unseen instrument playing music, our minds try to make sense of it. Sometimes, we create myths. The jellophone isn't a solid object. It's a reminder that things exist beyond our current knowledge, challenging what's possible. It makes you think about how much we don't know. Here's the thing. Think about hearing a song on the radio. You know the melody, but have no idea who sings it, or what instrument makes that unique sound. Or maybe you've heard a strange creak at night, and your mind races to figure it out. Was it the wind? The jellophone is like that, on a global scale. It's a mystery wrapped in sound. So, what does it mean to have a sound without a source, a harmony without a visible instrument? It reminds us that our world, even with all our science, still holds deep, quiet secrets. Some mysteries aren't about solving a puzzle. Some are about accepting that certain things remain unexplainable, existing just outside our understanding. That quiet mystery can be more profound than any answer. It encourages us to listen, not just with our ears, but with an open mind. The Tungu's meteorite, a blast with no crater. Have you ever thought about how some of the biggest events can leave behind almost no clear trace? It's a strange idea, isn't it? Like a whisper that shakes a mountain, but then disappears into the wind. This is a bit like the mystery of the Tungu's meteorite. Back in 1908, in a very remote part of Siberia, something incredible happened. The sky lit up with a brilliant flash, brighter than the sun. Then, an enormous explosion ripped through the air. People living hundreds of miles away felt the ground shake, and saw a mushroom cloud rise into the sky. When scientists finally reached the area years later, they found miles and miles of flattened trees, all pointing away from a central spot. It was as if a giant hand had pressed them down. But here's the really puzzling part. There was no crater, no huge hole in the ground, no impact site you'd expect from something that caused such a massive blast. Most meteors, when they hit, leave a big dent. This one did in single quotes. So, here's what scientists think happened. A space rock, probably made of stone, didn't actually hit the ground. Instead, it exploded high up in the atmosphere, maybe 5 or 6 miles above the Earth's surface. Imagine blowing up a balloon, but instead of popping it by touching it, it just explodes on its own, sending out a huge wave of energy. That energy spread out, like an invisible punch, flattening everything below it. The air took the main hit, not the dirt. It makes you think about how powerful things can be, even when they don't leave a solid mark. It reminds us that some of the greatest forces are unseen, like a strong feeling or a quiet thought that can change everything without making a sound. The Tungu's event is a silent roar, a mystery that tells us the world holds deep powers we don't always understand, shaping things in ways we can barely imagine. The Star of Bethlehem. What was that bright light? Have you ever looked up at the night sky and seen a single, incredibly bright light? Not a plane, not just any star, but something that truly grabs your attention. For thousands of years, stories speak of such a light, the Star of Bethlehem. In ancient tales, this brilliant star appeared, guiding travelers to a very special place, marking an incredible event. It wasn't just a light. It was seen as a sign, a promise. But what was it, really? Was it a comet, streaking across the heavens, with its fiery tail? Perhaps a supernova, a giant star exploding into incredible light? Or maybe it was a rare lineup of planets, like Jupiter and Saturn, appearing so close, they looked like one huge dazzling light. Even today, scientists and historians puzzle over this. We search old sky maps, ancient texts, looking for clues, trying to match what we know about the stars with what was written long ago. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, where half the pieces are missing. Think about when you're trying to figure out a really tough problem, like a complicated math question or a tricky riddle. You might look at it from different angles, try different methods, hoping one clicks. That star is like that. For those who saw it, it was a profound sign, something that made them believe in something greater, guiding their path. Just as a lighthouse guides ships safely to shore in the darkest night, this light, whatever it was, guided a journey of belief and hope. The mystery of the Star of Bethlehem endures not just for a scientific answer, but for what it represents. It reminds us how much wonder there is in the world, in the universe, and how a single point of light, whether real or symbolic, can inspire a quest and deep meaning for so many, across centuries. It makes us think about what guides us, and the quiet power of hope, even when the path ahead isn't clear. The legend of El Dorado, a golden city still hidden. Have you ever wondered if true magic lies hidden, just beyond our sight? For centuries, people have dreamt of a place, a city shimmering with gold, called El Dorado. It's a whisper on the wind, a legend that captured the hearts of explorers and kings, leading them on incredible journeys through the wild, green lands of South America. But here's the thing about El Dorado. It wasn't always about a city. The first stories described a Muisca chief, a real leader in ancient Colombia, who would cover himself in gold dust for sacred ceremonies. He was known as the Gilded One. Imagine, every morning, this chief would go to a holy lake, cover his body in fine gold dust, and then, as an offering, he would enter the shimmering waters. It was a beautiful, powerful ritual, connecting his people to their gods and the earth. When Spanish explorers arrived, they heard these tales. Their minds, full of dreams of riches, twisted the story. The chief became a city, then a whole empire made of gold. And so, the hunt began. Armies crashed through jungles, enduring hardship, all for a myth born from a misunderstanding. It's kind of like when you hear a rumor from a friend, and then you tell it to someone else, and by the third person it's completely different from what actually happened. The original truth gets lost in all the retelling, especially when people really want something to be true. So, is El Dorado real? Maybe not as a city built of pure gold, but the legend itself is real. It lives on in our imagination, a symbol of the ultimate treasure, the thing we endlessly seek. Perhaps the real El Dorado isn't a place you can find on a map, but a feeling inside us, that yearning for something more, something grand and beautiful. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest treasures aren't what we find, but the journey we take and the stories we create along the way. It makes you wonder what golden hopes we chase in our own lives, and what truly makes them shine. The Circleville letters, secrets sent through the mail. Have you ever thought about words sent in the dark? Messages that show up from nowhere, carrying a shiver of fear. In Circleville, Ohio, a quiet town in the late 1970s, whispers turned into cruel, Anonymous letters. They arrived in mailboxes, accusing people of wrongdoings, revealing hidden secrets. These weren't just mean notes. They threatened violence if their demands weren't met. The main target was a school bus driver named Ron Gillespie and his wife, Mary. The letters accused Ron of an affair. Soon, others in town received similar notes. Imagine knowing someone out there knew your deepest secrets, and they were using them against you, but you had no idea who it was. The writer, known only as the Circleville letter writer, seemed to know everything. It was like a ghost, leaving clues. It's similar to when a rumor spreads through your school hallways. One person hears something, then another, and soon, everyone is talking, but nobody knows who started it, or if it's even true. But here, the letters weren't just gossip. They felt like a cold hand reaching from the shadows. The fear grew. Ron Gillespie was later killed under mysterious circumstances, a death some believe was linked to the letters. And even after arrests were made, many felt the true writer, the real person hiding behind the words, was never caught. This mystery reminds us how powerful words can be, even whispered or written in secret. They can build up, but they can also break down. The Circleville letters show us that sometimes the most unsettling mysteries aren't about big monsters or aliens, but about the darkness that can hide within a quiet community, a darkness that leaves scars long after the ink dries. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, what unseen truths still linger in the air. The Flannan Isle Lighthouse. Keepers gone, lights still on. Have you ever wondered about places where people just vanished? Not like they moved away, but truly disappeared, leaving behind only questions. This is one of those stories, a quiet mystery from a time long ago. It takes us to a tiny lonely island off the coast of Scotland, home to the Flannan Isle Lighthouse. In December of 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, were on duty. Their job was vital: keep the powerful light burning, guiding ships safely through the dark, wild seas. But then, on the day after Christmas, a passing ship noticed something wrong. The light was out. A few days later, a relief crew finally made it to the island. What they found inside was deeply unsettling. The lighthouse was neat, everything in its place. A meal was half-eaten on the table. Beds were unmade, as if the men had just stepped out for a moment. But the 3 keepers, they were gone, vanished into thin air. There was no sign of a struggle, no bodies, just an empty lighthouse and a light that had gone dark, waiting for hands that would never return. It makes you think about how vast and powerful the ocean is, and how small we are against it. What could have happened to those 3 experienced men? People have guessed all sorts of things: a giant wave that swept them away, a sudden, tragic accident, or even something more mysterious. But here's the thing, no one truly knows. The lighthouse stands as a silent witness to a moment frozen in time. It's a bit like walking into your own house, and the TV is on, a snack is half-eaten on the counter, but your family is just gone. No note, no open door, just an unsettling absence where people should be. The Flannan Isle mystery isn't just about 3 missing men from a distant past. It's about the questions that linger, quietly, for over a century. It reminds us that even with all our modern tools and understanding, some parts of the world remain deeply, beautifully unsolved. Some stories simply end with a vast, empty space, urging us to look closer, to wonder, and to accept that sometimes the most profound answers are found in the quiet mystery itself. That light still shines today, but the echo of those missing keepers remains, a soft whisper on the wind. The Hinterkaifeck murders, a farmhouse horror story. What if a place, once filled with life, could suddenly turn into a silent, chilling question mark? Imagine a quiet farmhouse in rural Germany, over 100 years ago. This isn't just a scary story, it's a real place, called Hinterkaifeck, where a family of 6 vanished from the world in the most brutal way possible. And here's the thing, no one ever found out who did it, or why. Before the terrible night, strange things started happening. A new set of house keys went missing. Footprints appeared in the snow, leading from the forest to the house, but none leading away. The farmer even heard footsteps in the attic. Imagine living in your home, feeling watched, knowing someone might be there, but never seeing them. That feeling of unease, of your safe space suddenly not being safe. It's like when you're sure you locked your bike, but then you keep checking, feeling a tiny shiver of doubt. That gnawing feeling, multiplied by 1,000. Then, one April night, in 1922, the family was brutally killed with a pickaxe. Their bodies were found days later. Someone had even stayed in the house after the murders, feeding the animals and eating food. The mystery became legendary because there were no clear answers, no obvious suspects, just a string of chilling clues that led nowhere. It's like a puzzle with missing pieces. But you know the picture is meant to be a dark one. Sometimes, in life, we search for answers with all our might, but they simply aren't there. The Hinterkaifeck murders remind us that some questions remain, open wounds in history, forever whispered about, forever wondered over. And that, perhaps, is the most unsettling part of all, the lasting echo of a story with no end. The Lake Badham murders, teens lost on a summer night. Imagine a perfect summer night. The air is warm, the stars are bright, and you're with friends, maybe camping out, telling stories by a lake. Doesn't that sound peaceful? But what if that calm, beautiful night suddenly shattered, leaving behind only questions and an unsettling silence that lingers for decades? This is the heartbreaking core of the Lake Badham murders, a case from Finland that happened long ago, in 1960. For teenagers, 2 boys and 2 girls, had set up their tent by the tranquil shores of Lake Badham. They were just like us, full of dreams, enjoying that special feeling of freedom a summer night brings. Yet, by morning, 3 of them were gone, brutally attacked by someone unseen, unheard. The one boy who survived was gravely injured, and though he lived, the truth about what happened that night remained elusive, forever out of reach. It's a bit like trying to finish a complex jigsaw puzzle, and just when you're almost done, you realize a few crucial pieces are simply missing. You can stare at the empty spaces, try every combination, but the complete picture, the whole story, can never truly form. That's the feeling an unsolved mystery leaves with us. Our minds, by nature, want to connect things, to find order and meaning in the world. When something as shocking as this happens, and there's no clear answer, it creates a deep sense of unease. It's like hearing a sudden unexplained noise in your quiet house at night. Your brain keeps replaying it, searching for the source, struggling with the lack of a clear explanation. Even when none exists, the story of Lake Badham is a quiet whisper across time, reminding us of how suddenly life can change, how fragile even the simplest, happiest moments can be. It shows us that some truths, some answers, remain buried beneath the surface, lost to the passing years, and maybe, in that enduring mystery, there's a quiet lesson, that not every question in life has a neat answer. Sometimes, simply remembering those who were lost, and respectfully acknowledging the power of the unknown, is its own profound understanding. The Sorda children. 5 kids vanished on Christmas Eve. Have you ever felt a deep sense of loss, even for something you can't quite touch or understand? Imagine a quiet Christmas Eve, full of snow and the promise of presents. For the Sorda family in West Virginia, 1945, that night became a haunting echo. A fire tore through their home. 9 of their 10 children were inside. 4 escaped with their parents. But 5, Morris, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were never seen again. They simply vanished. Here's what happened. The fire was fierce, but when it died down, investigators found almost nothing. No bones, no remains, no trace of the children. It was as if the flames had opened a door, and they walked right through, into an unknown. The parents, George and Jenny Sadder, refused to believe their kids had perished. How could 5 bodies disappear so completely? They felt it deep in their hearts. Their children were out there, somewhere. This isn't just a police case. It's a story about the endless reach of a parent's love and the heavy burden of not knowing. Think about a jigsaw puzzle with a huge hole. You know the pieces exist. You've searched everywhere, but they are gone. You can never finish the picture, never truly see it whole. That missing part is like the Sorda children, a gaping hole in a family's heart, a void in a town's memory. For decades, the Sordas never stopped looking. They put up billboards, explored every whispered rumor, and spent their lives seeking answers. Even after George and Jenny passed, their surviving children continued the search. Their story reminds us how deeply humans need closure, how we crave understanding when it never comes. A silence settles, one that speaks volumes. It shows us that some mysteries are not just puzzles, but profound questions about life, loss, and the enduring strength of hope, even in the darkest unknowns. The Van Meter visitor, a creature with glowing wings, Have you ever heard a story that sends a quiet shiver through you? Not from fear, but from pure wonder. Imagine living in a small town back in 1903. Things were quieter then. People saw the stars more clearly, and news traveled fast by word of mouth. Now, picture this. In Van Meter, Iowa, strange things began happening late at night. People reported seeing a giant creature. It had enormous bat-like wings, and its eyes glowed intensely, like bright searchlights cutting through the dark. Some even said it had a horn on its head, and it smelled terrible, like rotten meat. This creature would swoop down, sometimes firing beams of light from its horn. For a whole week, folks in Van Meter saw this thing. It seemed to appear from an old abandoned mine, always disappearing before anyone could get too close. It's like when you're walking home at dusk, and a shadow moves quickly, or you hear a sound you can't quite place. Your mind tries to explain it away, but a part of you still wonders, what was that? That's how it must have felt for the people of Van Meter. They faced something completely outside their normal world. They even tried to confront it, but it always got away, leaving them with more questions. This mystery, the Van Meter visitor, became part of their town's history. It reminds us how much wonder lives in the unknown. Even when we can't explain something, the experience can change us, leaving a mark on the people who lived through it. It makes you think about things we don't understand, the secrets the night still holds, and how some stories, no matter how unbelievable, refuse to fade away. It's a gentle reminder that the world is bigger and stranger than we often imagine. The Gobi Desert's White Pyramid, a structure seen from above. Imagine looking down from high above Earth, perhaps from an airplane. What if you saw something so vast, so perfectly shaped, it made you wonder who built it, or why? For decades, whispers have circled about a giant white pyramid, hidden deep in the Gobi Desert. It was rumored to be so immense it was visible from miles up, like an ancient message etched into the land. Think about the pyramids in Egypt or Mexico. They tell powerful stories of human effort. This Gobi pyramid is different. It's not proven, man-made, more of a shadowy legend. American pilots flying over China during World War II claimed they saw it, a colossal white shape reflecting the desert sun. But how do we know if it was real, or just a trick of perception? It's like gazing at clouds. You see shapes, your mind finds patterns. What if this white pyramid was simply light and shadow, a natural mountain that, from a certain height, looked perfectly shaped? Or, what if it was something more? A forgotten structure, hidden for centuries by shifting sands. The Gobi Desert's White Pyramid reminds us our world still holds many quiet secrets. Things we haven't grasped or clearly seen, that teaches us to stay curious, to look closer, and to wonder about what might lie beyond what we can prove. Sometimes, the deepest mysteries aren't about finding one solid answer, but about embracing awe, the quiet thrill of knowing there's still so much left to explore, even in places we thought we knew well. The Baghdad Battery, ancient power, or just a pot? What if people long ago held a secret power in their hands, something we thought was only invented much, much later? Imagine a small clay jar, no bigger than your lunchbox, found in a land that was once ancient Mesopotamia, near modern-day Baghdad. Inside this jar, there's a copper cylinder and an iron rod, all sealed up with asphalt, almost like a time capsule. For years, scientists have looked at this strange object and wondered. Here's the thing, if you were to fill this jar with something acidic, like grape juice or vinegar, this setup could create a weak electric current. It's a bit like a homemade battery, but it dates back over 2,000 years. This discovery really makes us pause and think about history. We usually believe electricity was only figured out a few hundred years ago, but this Baghdad battery whispers a different story. What was it used for? No one knows for sure. Could it have been used to electroplate metals, making ordinary items look like shiny gold? Or was it just a container for storing important scrolls, or maybe even spices? This mystery sits right there, challenging what we think we know. Think about those simple science projects you might do, where you stick a penny and a zinc nail into a lemon, and suddenly, you can light a tiny LED bulb. It's the same basic idea as the Baghdad battery, just on a much older, more mysterious scale. That simple lemon shows us how everyday things can hold hidden energy. And that's the deep feeling about these ancient puzzles. The Baghdad battery reminds us that history isn't a closed book with all the answers. It's a vast, unfinished story, full of whispers and forgotten ideas. Maybe, just maybe, the greatest discoveries aren't always about creating something brand new, but about finding wisdom that was always there, waiting patiently to be understood again. This old pot, full of silence and so many questions, still sparks our minds, asking us to imagine a world far more complex and wonderful than we often believe. The San Luis Valley, strange lights and lost animals. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and seen something you just couldn't explain? A flicker of light, a movement that seemed to dance with no earthly reason. In a quiet, wide-open place, called the San Luis Valley in Colorado, people see things like that all the time. But it's not just strange lights. This valley holds deeper secrets, a sort of whispered mystery in the very air. For many years, folks there have reported strange, glowing lights moving across the vast darkness, lights that aren't planes or stars. And here's the thing, it's not just lights. Animals, like cows or horses, have vanished without a trace from secured pastures. Sometimes, they are found later in unsettling ways, often in clearings, without a single drop of blood or any tracks. Around them, it's like something just took them, then set them back down. So, what do we do when our world doesn't make sense? For thousands of years, humans have gazed up at the stars, wondering about things beyond our understanding. We often try to fit everything into a neat box, seeking explanations for every puzzle. But some mysteries, like those in the San Luis Valley, refuse to be contained. They gently nudge us, reminding us that maybe we don't know everything after all that. It's kind of like when you're building something with LEGOs, and suddenly a piece is just gone from right in front of you. You look everywhere, but it's not there. Or maybe it turns up later in a really strange spot you know it couldn't have reached on its own. That feeling of how is what this valley brings to life. The San Luis Valley reminds us that the world is bigger and stranger than we often imagine. It's a place where the veil between the known and the unknown feels thin. And sometimes, the deepest wisdom comes not from finding all the answers, but from learning to sit quietly with the questions, embracing the vastness of what we don't yet fully understand. It teaches us a quiet respect for the mystery itself. The stone spheres of Costa Rica. Perfect balls, no tools. Have you ever tried to draw a perfect circle freehand? It's really hard. Now imagine making a giant stone ball, perfectly round and smooth, and doing it thousands of years ago, without any modern tools. That's the mystery of Costa Rica's stone spheres. These spheres sit silently, some small as a tennis ball, others bigger than a car. They look perfectly shaped, almost impossibly smooth. An ancient people, the Daquis, living in jungle river deltas, crafted these mysterious orbs. For centuries, they lay hidden, found only in the 1930s by banana plantation workers. We know they were moved, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone. But why were they ancient calendars, markers, symbols? No one truly knows their purpose. The biggest puzzle isn't why they made them, but how. Making a perfect sphere from hard stone takes super careful work. Today, we use lasers and powerful machines. But these ancient people had simple stone tools and human strength. How did they get such smooth, flawless curves? How did they keep them so balanced? It's like trying to build a detailed model with just your hands and a rock. It feels impossible. This mystery makes you stop and think. It shows us that people long ago had amazing skills we can barely imagine. Maybe they understood the world or materials in ways we don't. It makes you wonder about human cleverness and what's possible with just patience and connection to nature. Some secrets stay whispered, teaching us humility. They remind us of the quiet wonders hidden in our shared past. And that's a good thought, isn't it? The bog bodies, people preserved in time. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to look directly into the eyes of someone who lived thousands of years ago? Not a picture, but seeing them almost as they were. It sounds impossible, right? But here's the thing. In certain soggy, swampy lands called peat bogs, nature has performed an incredible, silent magic trick. These places are cold, wet, and often very acidic, like a giant, dark tea. This unique mix creates a perfect natural vault. When a body ends up in one of these bogs, it doesn't decay like normal. The low oxygen, the acid, the cold, they all work together to stop time. Skin, hair, even internal organs can be preserved, sometimes for thousands of years. We call these amazing finds bog bodies. They are not skeletons. They are people, still holding clues to their ancient lives. Imagine finding an old, forgotten diary tucked away in an attic. You open it, and suddenly, you're reading thoughts from someone long ago, feeling a connection across the years. Bodies are like that, but even more powerful. They aren't just words, they are the people themselves. We see their clothes, their faces, sometimes even their last meal. Each one is a silent question mark, a puzzle from a distant past, inviting us to wonder, who were they? What was their world like? Think of it like putting a favorite toy or a special letter into a time capsule, sealing it tight, hoping someone in the far future might discover it. That's what the bogs did, but by accident. They took ordinary people and froze their moment, preserving them for us to find. Thousands of years later, looking at a bog body, you don't just see an ancient person, you see a reflection of our shared human story. It's a quiet reminder that people, no matter when or where they lived, felt, loved, struggled, and hoped, just like us. They are a bridge from us to them, showing how thin the veil between past and present can truly be. And in that stillness, a deep sense of wonder settles over you. The Georgia Guidestones, Messages for a New World. Have you ever wondered what message you'd leave for the future, for a world far beyond your own? In a quiet field in Georgia, USA, once stood a huge monument made of granite. These were massive stones, reaching high, carved with 10 messages in 8 different modern languages. It felt like a silent promise, instructions for humanity, meant for a time when our world might need to begin again. Here's the thing, nobody truly knows who built them. A mysterious person, using the name R.C. Christian, paid for them in 1980. Some people thought they were about guiding humanity after a disaster. Others saw them as strange rules for a new society. The messages talked about things like keeping the human population small, uniting people with a living language, and finding balance with nature. It was like a very serious, permanent time capsule, holding advice for all humankind. Think about it like this. Imagine your class is putting together a time capsule for students at your school 100 years from now. What advice would you give them for how to live, for how to be good people, how to protect the earth, how to get along? That's kind of what the Guidestones tried to do. They offered strong suggestions for generations to come. The stones themselves are gone now, destroyed in 2022, but the mystery of their purpose and the questions they raised still linger. Why did someone feel such guidance was needed? What future did they imagine? And what does it say about us that we still search for answers from silent stones? It makes you reflect on the kind of world we are building, and what messages we are sending to those who will follow. It's a quiet whisper, asking, what do we truly value for tomorrow? The Cotopaxi anomaly, a strange shape on the map. Have you ever gazed at an old map? Maybe one with faded lines and intricate drawings. They tell stories, not just of places, but of the people who made them. And sometimes, within those old lines, you find something that makes you pause. A shape that doesn't fit. Near the towering Cotopaxi volcano in Ecuador, on certain maps drawn centuries ago, a truly odd mark appears. It's not a mountain, not a river, not even a town. It's a precise, geometric shape, almost like a perfect compass rose or a stark symbol against the hand-drawn landscapes. We call it the Cotopaxi anomaly. Even with our modern tools, we still don't know why it's there. Was it a mistake, a forgotten note, or a clue to something lost? Think about how people explored the world long ago. They sailed to new lands, often relying on whispered tales and blurry sketches. Imagine trying to draw a detailed map of your neighborhood, but you've only ever seen it through a slightly foggy window. You'd mark what you knew, like your house, but for the parts you couldn't quite see, you might fill in the gaps with a guess, a placeholder, or even a symbol that just felt right. It's a way to say, something is here, but what? The Cotopaxi anomaly feels like one of those placeholders, a silent question etched into the past. It reminds us that even when humans tried their best to chart every river and peak, vast areas remained veiled in mystery. It shows us the limits of early knowledge, but also our need to make sense of the unknown, to put something on the map, even if it's a puzzling blank. It's a quiet whisper from history, reminding us that the world still holds secrets, inviting our curiosity to keep searching, to keep wondering. The hum of Overtone Valley, a mysterious sound in Arizona. Have you ever listened so closely that you almost heard the silence? Or maybe, you've been in a quiet place and suddenly noticed a faint, low hum, a buzz that seems to come from nowhere. in a quiet stretch of Arizona, near a place called Overtone Valley. Something like that has been happening for decades. People there sometimes hear a deep, constant hum, a sound without a source. Imagine a low drone, like a distant idling truck, or the hum of a refrigerator that's always on, but it's outside, and it fills the air in a way that feels ancient, almost like the very ground is breathing. But here's the thing, not everyone hears it. For those who do, it can be unsettling, a constant companion that whispers of something unknown. It's not just a passing sound, it's a persistent, vibrational hum that settles deep within the bones. Throughout history, humans have always sought to explain the strange sounds of the world. Thunder was a god's voice, the wind a spirit's breath. But this hum defies easy answers. It's not the wind, not a river, not machinery. It's a mystery that makes us wonder about the limits of what we perceive. Think about it like this. Have you ever been in a room with a buzzing light fixture, and you can hear it, but no one else seems to notice? It's frustrating, right? This hum is like that, but on a vast open landscape, affecting only some dot. So here's what happened. Scientists have studied it, looking for everything from underground vibrations to secret military projects. But no one has found a clear answer. The hum remains, a quiet, steady question mark hanging in the air, and that's why it matters. The hum of Overtone Valley reminds us that our world holds so many hidden layers, sounds and sensations that we might never fully understand. It's a gentle whisper from the unknown, inviting us to be curious, to feel the quiet wonder of things beyond our grasp. It teaches us that sometimes the most profound answers aren't found, but felt, deep in the mystery itself. The devil's footprints, a strange path in the snow. Have you ever looked at a path in the snow and wondered who or what made it? Sometimes the tracks tell a clear story, a dog chasing a squirrel, a person walking to the mailbox. But what if the story made no sense at all? Imagine waking up on a quiet winter morning, the world hushed and white, and then you see it, a single line of strange footprints, perfect and clear, stamped into the fresh snow. This is what happened in Devon, England, way back in 1855. People woke to find these prints everywhere. They looked like small horse hooves, about 4 inches long, neatly spaced in a straight line. Here's the thing, these weren't just in the fields. The prints traveled for miles right over rooftops, through gardens, and even across rivers. It was like whatever made them could walk right through solid objects, or just float above them. There was no explanation. It wasn't a trick of the eye. It was real. People were scared. They tried to figure it out. Was it a badger, a kangaroo that escaped? But no animal could make a trail so consistent, so strange, covering such a vast distance, going right over buildings. So they started to wonder if it was something else. Something ... supernatural. Many believed it was the devil himself, leaving his mark on the world. This might work for you, thinking about how something completely unexplainable can really shake people up. It's like when you see a perfectly round stone on the beach, and you can't imagine how nature shaped it so perfectly. But then imagine miles of these stones, all lined up, defying all sense of how rocks form. The mystery of the devil's footprints has never been truly solved. It reminds us that our world holds so many wonders, and some things just don't fit into our neat boxes of understanding. And that's okay. Sometimes, the most beautiful part of life is not having all the answers, but simply wondering about the path, and what might have left it. It teaches us to be curious, and to feel a sense of awe for the unknown. The vile vortices, places where things go wrong. Have you ever wondered if some places on our planet just have a different kind of energy, almost like a hidden hum that makes things go a little strange? It's a curious thought, isn't it? What if there are spots where the usual rules seem to blur, where the world itself feels like it's holding its breath? This idea leads us to something called the vile vortices. Think of them as 12 specific areas, spread out across Earth, plus the North and South Poles. These aren't just random spots. They are places where, for centuries, people have reported unusual things. Ships disappearing without a trace, planes vanishing from the sky, compasses spinning wildly, even time feeling distorted. It's like these zones are magnets for the unexplained, dark whirlpools not of water, but of mystery itself. Long ago, sailors and explorers probably felt this same unease in certain stretches of ocean or land. They might have described these feelings as curses or the work of spirits, trying to make sense of something they couldn't grasp. It's a very human thing, this need to explain the unexplainable. These vortices, many believe, line up in a pattern across the globe, as if our Earth has a hidden, complex system we barely understand. Here's the thing. Think about when you're walking down a busy school hallway. Sometimes, even if you're careful, you might suddenly trip, or drop your books, or feel a strange push. It's like for a brief moment, the normal flow of things gets tangled, a tiny glitch in your day. Now, imagine that feeling, that tiny glitch, amplified a million times, stretching across miles of ocean or sky. That's a bit like what these vile vortices are believed to be, vast areas where the normal seems to hiccup, where something unseen causes things to go unexpectedly, terribly wrong. It makes you pause and wonder about the quiet power of our world. Maybe these places aren't evil, but simply spots where the deep, unseen currents of Earth's energy meet and clash, creating ripples we can't fully see or understand. They remind us that even with all our maps and science, the Earth still holds its profound secrets, whispering tales of what lies beyond our knowing. And in that quiet mystery, there's a strange kind of beauty, leaving room for us to wonder, to search, and to respectfully accept the vastness of the unknown. The disappearance of Bennington Triangle, people lost in the woods. Have you ever thought about how strange it would be if someone you knew simply vanished? Not like they moved away, or got lost and then found, but truly disappeared, leaving absolutely no trace behind. This thought, kind of spooky and incredibly sad, takes us to a quiet corner of Vermont called the Bennington Triangle. It's a beautiful, green place, full of tall trees and hiking paths, but it also holds a deep, unsettling secret. Between 1945 and 1950, a small group of people went missing there. One moment, they were walking, perhaps picking berries or enjoying the fresh air, and the next, they were gone. Search parties looked for weeks, months, but found nothing. No footprints leading out, no dropped hats, no clue at all. It's almost as if the ancient whispering woods simply opened up and absorbed them. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a very special, tiny toy, and you accidentally drop it into a patch of really thick, tall grass. You know it's somewhere in that patch, but the grass is so dense, so vast, it just swallows the toy whole. You might search for hours, but you might never see it again. For the families of those lost in the Bennington Triangle, the forest felt like that impossibly vast grass, quietly taking loved ones away forever. This wasn't just about someone getting lost, which can happen in big forests. This was different, because there was never an explanation. No bodies, no clues, just endless unanswered questions that still echo through the valleys today. What happened? Did they stumble into a hidden cave? Did something totally unknown pull them away? The woods, so full of life and wonder, can also be a place of profound silence, holding secrets too deep for us to fully understand. And that's the real lesson of some mysteries. They don't always give us clear answers. Instead, they gently remind us about the vastness of the world and how much we still don't know. These vanished souls, in their quiet absence, leave us with a humbling sense of the unknown, and a soft wonder at the deep, ancient heart of the wild. They become a part of the forest's timeless story, a whisper carried on the mountain wind. The mystery of the Siberian craters, holes appearing in the earth. Have you ever stopped to think about the ground beneath your feet? How solid it feels, how permanent. But what if, suddenly, a giant hole just appeared? Not from a meteorite or a dig site, but just ... burst open. That's what's been happening in a cold, lonely part of the world called Siberia. Over the last decade or so, huge, deep craters, some wide enough to swallow several houses, have opened up in the frozen landscape. They look like the earth took a deep breath and then exhaled a massive sigh, leaving a perfect circle behind. Imagine the ground there, usually rock solid and frozen for thousands of years. It's like a giant freezer, but beneath that frozen surface, there are layers of ice and ancient soil, and sometimes trapped pockets of gas. Think of it like a soda bottle, shaken and left too warm in the sun. The pressure inside builds and builds. If you twist off the cap, it fizzes and spills out. Now, imagine that pressure building underground for centuries. Scientists believe these Siberian craters form when trapped gases, mainly methane, warm up and expand. As the planet's climate slowly changes, the permafrost that permanently frozen ground begins to melt. This melting weakens the icy cap holding the gas down. When the pressure gets too much, it bursts, creating these incredible, eerie holes. It's a powerful reminder that our planet is alive, always shifting, always breathing in its own slow, mysterious way. For all our maps and knowledge, the Earth still holds deep secrets right beneath our toes. These craters aren't just holes in the ground, they're whispers from the ancient Earth. They remind us to stay curious, to wonder about hidden forces that shape our world, forces we can't always see or fully understand. The Hand of Fatima, a symbol of protection. Have you ever needed a little extra protection, a shield against the world's worries? Maybe you've seen a small charm, shaped like an open hand, worn as jewelry or hanging in a home. It's often called the Hand of Fatima. What is it, and why does this ancient symbol still whisper tales of protection? At its core, the Hand of Fatima is a powerful emblem. It's a palm-shaped amulet, often with an eye in the center. People believe it wards off evil and brings good fortune. For many, it's a promise of safety, a hope negative energy will simply pass by. It represents blessings, strength, and finding peace even when things feel uncertain. This symbol has deep roots. Reaching back thousands of years in the Middle East and North Africa, it's important across cultures. In Islam, it's linked to Fatima, Zahra, daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, known for strength. In some Jewish traditions, it's called the Hamsa, meaning 5, referring to the 5 fingers. It's a symbol shared by many, showing how people across beliefs often seek comfort from the unknown. Think of it like this. Remember that favorite blanket you had as a kid. When you wrapped yourself in it, you felt safe and warm, even if it didn't literally stop anything bad. It gave you security, a calm inside. The Hand of Fatima works in a similar way. It's an emotional anchor, a reminder you have strength, whether from belief, family, or from inside yourself. So, the mystery isn't just about the symbol itself, but about our human need for protection. It's about how we find solace in symbols that represent deeper truths. The Hand of Fatima reminds us that sometimes the greatest shields aren't made of steel, but of hope, belief, and the enduring human wish for peace in a world full of mysteries. The enigma of the Phaistos disc, symbols no one understands. Have you ever found an old message, maybe a note from long ago, and wondered what it meant? Now, imagine finding a message so old, its language has completely disappeared. That's a bit like the Phaistos disc. This isn't just a story, it's real. Thousands of years ago, on an island called Crete, a powerful civilization, the Minoans thrived. They built incredible places. About 100 years ago, in the ruins of one of their palaces, something special was found. A small clay disc, about the size of a dinner plate. Both sides are covered in tiny, swirling symbols, pressed into the wet clay. Here's the thing, these aren't random pictures. They look like familiar things: a human head, a shield, a bird, a fish, even a little house. There are 241 symbols total, but only 45 different kinds. This suggests it's some kind of writing, but no one, not even the smartest historians, has ever truly figured out what it says. Its meaning remains a deep secret. Think about this. Imagine finding an old diary from your great-grandparent. You open it, eager to read their stories. But every word is in a language no one on Earth remembers. No dictionaries exist for it, no other books. You see the letters, but the meaning is locked away. It's a voice from the past, unable to speak to us now. The Phaistos disc is like that silent voice. It sits in a museum, a beautiful, puzzling object. It reminds us that some secrets are meant to stay hidden, at least for now. It's a piece of a forgotten story, waiting patiently, and that's why it matters. It shows us that even with all our knowledge, some parts of the past remain beautifully, profoundly unknown. The Shugborough inscription, a code in the countryside. Have you ever thought about secrets hidden in plain sight, whispered through time? Imagine an old, peaceful English garden. There, a beautiful stone monument stands, carved with shepherds. But look closer. Below the art, almost hidden, are these letters. DOUSVAVV-M. What do they mean? For centuries, this simple string of letters on the shepherd's monument at Shugborough Hall remains a deep puzzle. Many believe it's a secret code, a message left long ago, some whisper of hidden gold, or a group like the Knights Templar. Others even think it points to the Holy Grail, a legendary lost cup. It feels like a silent challenge from history, daring us to understand. Think about a time you got a riddle that seemed impossible, or a secret note from a friend in a code only you two knew. That urge to figure it out, to find the hidden truth, that's what this inscription sparks. This isn't just about letters on a stone, it's about why people hide things, and why we're driven to find them. It makes us think about what knowledge is, and who keeps it. Is the message about life itself, or something more real? The code stays unbroken, a quiet dare across the years, and maybe that's part of its wonder. It reminds us that some mysteries are meant to stay, nudging us to keep searching and wondering. It shows us how a few letters, from so long ago, can still make us pause and feel the quiet power of the unknown. The disappearance of the Eilean Mor lighthouse keepers, a light gone dark. Have you ever wondered what happens when something or someone just vanishes? Not like they moved away, but truly gone, without a trace. Think about a street lamp that shines every night, right outside your window. It's always there, a steady glow in the dark. But then, one night, it's just off, and it never turns back on. That quiet mystery, that sudden absence, can feel much bigger than just a broken bulb. Here's the thing, sometimes, entire people can become that dark spot. This is the story of the Eilean Mor lighthouse, a strong stone tower on a tiny, lonely island far off the coast of Scotland. For years, its light was a promise of safety to ships at sea. 3 lighthouse keepers lived there, making sure the light never stopped. It was a hard, isolated job, surrounded by nothing but the powerful, endless ocean. They were relied on, like anchors in a storm. But then, in December 1900, a supply ship arrived, and something was deeply wrong. The flag wasn't flying, the lamp was dark, the keepers' beds were unmade, food was on the table, and rain gear hung ready, but the men themselves, gone. Not a single sign of a struggle, no bodies, just an empty lighthouse, left behind like a forgotten toy. The sea roared around the island, holding its breath. What happened to them? The fierce storms, a rogue wave, a secret plot. We still don't know. The ocean holds so many secrets, and sometimes it just swallows them whole. So, this mystery of the missing keepers reminds us about the edges of our understanding. It shows us that even in our modern world, with all its science and answers, there are still quiet, powerful unknowns. It's a story not about what happened, because we don't know that, but about what didn't happen. The light didn't keep shining, and the people didn't come home. And sometimes, the deepest mysteries are the ones that simply remain, whispering in the wind. A light gone dark. The Bigfoot of British Columbia. More whispers in the wild. Asterisk, asterisk, the Bigfoot of British Columbia. More whispers in the wild. Asterisk, asterisk, have you ever walked into a deep forest and felt like something ancient was watching? Like the trees themselves held secrets, older than time. That's how the story of Bigfoot feels in British Columbia, Canada. Here, people often call it Sasquatch, a name from the Halk Emilim language, meaning wild man. It's described as a huge, hairy, ape-like creature, said to walk on 2 feet, hiding deep in the untouched woods. For centuries, long before cameras or written history, people have told stories about mysterious beings in the wild. Almost every culture has its own version of a hidden people or a forest giant. It's like our minds naturally wonder what else could be out there, just beyond what we can easily see or understand. This isn't just a modern mystery. It's a very old human habit of trying to explain the unknown, especially in vast, wild places. Think about it this way. Remember when you were little, and you heard a strange creak downstairs at night. Your brain instantly tried to figure out what it was. Maybe it was the house settling, or a pet. But for a moment, your imagination took over, right? Bigfoot is like that for a whole region. A strange sound in the woods, a large footprint found, and our minds try to fill in the blanks. We want to believe in something vast and undiscovered, something that reminds us how much of the world we still don't know. That's so. Is Bigfoot real? We don't have clear proof, no solid photo or bones. But the whispers continue, carried on the wind through the tall pines. Maybe the real mystery isn't just if Bigfoot exists, but why we keep looking for it. It reminds us that even in our busy modern world, there's still true wilderness, still wonder, and still space for the unknown to stir our imaginations. It's a quiet invitation to keep asking questions, to listen to the whispers, and to never stop being curious about the vast, beautiful, mysterious world around us. The Legend of the Beast of Bray Road, a werewolf tale. Have you ever felt a wildness stirring inside you, a side that felt ancient, maybe even a little untamed? For centuries, humans have told stories of people changing into animals. One of these tales comes from a quiet road in Wisconsin, called Bray Road. People there have reported seeing something incredible. Something that walks on two legs like a person, but looks like a wolf. This creature is known as the Beast of Bray Road. It's not just a fuzzy animal. Witnesses describe it as large, hairy, and very powerful, almost like a figure from a nightmare. Think about why we create such stories. Ancient people didn't have science to explain everything. They saw the raw power of animals, the mysteries of the forest, and the unpredictable nature of humans themselves. So, they imagined creatures that blurred the lines. A werewolf isn't just a monster, it's a symbol. It represents the idea that deep down, inside us, there might be forces we don't understand, parts of our nature that are wild, powerful, and sometimes a little frightening. It's about the struggle between our human minds and our more primal urges. It's kind of like when you feel really angry or overwhelmed, and you say or do something you don't quite recognize as you afterward. It's still you, but a part of you that felt out of control, like a different side took over for a moment. That doesn't mean you're a monster, but it shows how powerful feelings can change how we act, sometimes making us feel less human, more basic. The Beast of Bray Road reminds us that some mysteries aren't about facts we can prove. They are about the questions we ask ourselves about our own wildness, our fears, and the unknown parts of the world, and even ourselves. It's a story that lets us wonder about the hidden depths within all living things. The disappearance of Frederick Valentich, a pilot's last words. Have you ever thought about how a clear moment can just disappear? How a voice, speaking plainly, can suddenly become a lasting echo, a question without an answer? This is the haunting silence left by Frederick Valentich. In 1978, a young pilot named Frederick Valentich was flying his small plane over Australia's Bass Strait. It was a routine flight, but what happened next was anything but. Frederick contacted air traffic control, reporting something unusual. He saw an unknown object moving quickly around his plane. He described it as long, thin, with a metallic shine, saying it was playing games, hovering above him. His voice was calm at first, but then it grew urgent. He said, "It's hovering and it's not an aircraft." And then, mid-sentence, the radio went silent, static. Frederick Valentich, his plane, his final words, they all vanished. No wreckage was ever found, no trace left behind. Just an empty sky and an unsettling mystery. This isn't just about a missing plane, it's about the edge of our understanding. Think of it like this. You're looking for your favorite book, positive, it's on your shelf, but it's just gone. You search everywhere, no explanation. That's how baffling this case is. Even with all our tools, some puzzles remain unsolved, reminding us how vast and unpredictable our world truly is. Frederick's last words linger in the air, a whisper from the unknown. They invite us to wonder about what else might exist just beyond our sight, beyond what we can explain. They remind us that even in our known world, there are still places where the familiar gives way to the truly mysterious, leaving us only with questions and a quiet sense of awe for the endless wonders we might never fully grasp. The mystery of the Sunken artifacts, faces from an unknown past. Have you ever looked at an old photograph and wondered who the people were, or what their lives were like? Now imagine faces that don't seem to belong, from a time so far back. They challenge everything we thought we knew. This is the mystery of Sunken. Deep in China, archaeologists found something astonishing. Not just pottery, but giant bronze heads and statues, some with enormous, staring eyes and strange smiles. Their features were unlike anything seen in other ancient Chinese art. Buried for thousands of years, they were found only recently. Here's the thing, these artifacts don't quite fit. They speak of a civilization from over 3,000 years ago, a powerful culture that vanished, leaving behind these puzzling objects. Think about it, like finding a page ripped from a history book. But this page describes a whole city, a whole way of life, not mentioned anywhere else. It's like discovering a new kind of animal that looks nothing like anything known. The Sunken people built massive cities and created stunning bronze artworks, showing advanced skills. But who were they? Where did they come from? And why did they disappear so suddenly, leaving behind only these silent, watchful faces? It's like looking at a mirror that reflects a world we can almost see but can't quite grasp. These faces, with their wide, unblinking eyes, seem to look back, whispering questions across centuries. They remind us that history isn't always a straight line. Sometimes, there are hidden paths, forgotten stories, and whole civilizations that rise and fall, leaving only echoes. And that's why it matters. The Sanxing Dui artifacts invite us to wonder about time's vastness and the endless secrets still waiting. They remind us how much more there is to learn about our human journey. The past isn't just about what we know, it's about what we still don't. The Mockelbemb, a dinosaur said to live today. Imagine a world where echoes of the distant past weren't just whispers in old bones, but living, breathing secrets. What if a creature from the age of dinosaurs still moved unseen through our modern world? In the dense heart of the Congo rainforest, a legend lives. People there speak of the Mockelbemb, a massive animal said to look much like the long-necked dinosaurs we see in books, like a brontosaurus, but perhaps smaller. It's not just a story for campfires. For generations, local people have described encounters with this hidden giant dot. This idea challenges what we think we know about history. We learn that dinosaurs died out millions of years ago, but the model suggests that maybe, just maybe, life finds a way to endure in the most remote corners. For centuries, explorers have ventured into the Congo's vast swampy rivers, drawn by these tales, hoping to prove that some mysteries refuse to fade away. It makes you think about how much of our planet we still haven't truly explored. How many untouched places remain where time seems to slow down. Holding on to ancient ways. Think about a time you found something truly unexpected in a familiar place, like discovering a hidden room in an old house, or a forgotten path in a well-known park. It changes your understanding of that place, right? It makes you wonder what else might be hidden. The Mockelbemb is like that for our world. It's a quiet question, asking us to consider that even with all our maps and technologies, there are still profound secrets held close by the Earth. It reminds us of the beautiful mystery that remains, urging us to stay curious, to always look a little closer, and to listen a little longer to the whispers of the wild. The unseen world of dark matter. What holds the universe? Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered about all the things we can't see? Not just the stars that are too dim, but something truly hidden, something that shapes everything around us, yet remains completely invisible. This is where the mystery of dark matter begins. For a long time, scientists have watched how galaxies spin. They whirl around, holding billions of stars, gas, and dust. But here's the problem. Based on all the matter we can see, these galaxies should be flying apart. They spin so quickly that everyone should be flung off. But they aren't. So scientists started wondering if there was something else, something we can't see, adding extra gravity. They call this missing something dark matter. It's dark because it doesn't reflect light, doesn't absorb light, doesn't shine in any way we can detect. It just sits there, invisible, but with a huge gravitational pull. Imagine you're in a big game of tug of war. You see your team pulling, and the other team pulling. But what if your team was winning? Even though it looked like you only had half the players, you'd wonder if there was someone invisible on your side, quietly helping pull the rope. Dark matter is like that invisible, quiet helper for the entire universe. This is a huge puzzle. We know it's there because we can see its effects, like how it keeps galaxies from flying apart, but we don't know what it is. We can't touch it, can't see it, can't even collect a sample, and that's okay. It simply means the universe holds more secrets than we can currently imagine. It reminds us that sometimes, the most important things are the ones we can't quite grasp, but whose presence we can deeply feel, holding everything together. The Great Attractor, something pulling galaxies together. Have you ever just wondered if there's something huge out there, quietly pulling at everything in the universe, even us? Something so big we can't see it, but we know its power is real. In the quiet, endless dark of space, our own galaxy, the Milky Way, isn't just floating around, it's moving, and it's moving really fast. We, and so many other galaxies, are being gently, but strongly, pulled towards an invisible force. It's a massive pull of gravity called the Great Attractor. For a long time, scientists thought everything in space was just spreading out after the Big Bang. But here's the thing, they noticed something strange. Galaxies nearby and far away weren't just moving apart, they were also moving together, kind of like leaves caught in an invisible river current, all heading the same way. It was like watching a bunch of friends at a huge fair. You'd see them slowly walking toward the biggest, brightest tent, maybe without even realizing why. This shared movement told scientists there had to be something huge, something with really strong gravity, pulling them in. So, imagine a giant, invisible space magnet, way out past the stars we usually see. We can't see it, because it doesn't give off light, or any kind of energy we can easily spot. But its pull is massive, reaching across millions of light years. It's a huge mystery, like a quiet secret the universe is keeping. We only know it's there because of what it does, kind of like feeling a really strong wind, even when you can't see the air. This great pull reminds us how much we still don't understand about the universe, and how it's all put together. It's a pretty humbling thought, isn't it? To think that even our whole galaxy is just a tiny boat on a huge, unseen current, moving toward somewhere we can only feel is there, but can't fully get. It makes you feel like you're part of something so much bigger, so deeply connected to the universe's quiet, strong heart. The Baltic Sea UFO, an object beneath the waves. Have you ever looked out at the ocean, that vast, deep blue, and wondered what truly lies beneath its surface? What forgotten secrets does it hold in its silent, cold embrace? This question becomes very real when we talk about a strange discovery in the Baltic Sea, an object that has baffled experts and sparked the imaginations of many. It's simply called the Baltic Sea Anomaly. Here's the thing. Back in 2011, a group of ocean explorers, using sonar equipment, found something truly odd. Deep on the seabed, about 300 feet down, rested a massive, perfectly round object, almost like a huge disc. It measures about 200 feet across, and it looks like it's been there for a very, very long time. Is it a natural rock formation? Something from an ancient, lost civilization, or something else entirely, perhaps from beyond our world, as the UFO in its name suggests? No one has a clear answer. The deep ocean is one of the last truly unexplored frontiers on Earth. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deepest parts of our own seas. This mysterious object reminds us how little we actually know, and how much is still hidden, waiting for us to discover. It challenges us to think about the unknown, to wonder about possibilities that stretch beyond our current understanding of history or science. Think about it like this. Imagine you're walking through a very old forest, and you stumble upon a perfectly carved stone, unlike anything you've ever seen, buried halfway in the earth. It's clearly man-made, but who made it? Why is it there? It sparks your curiosity, fills you with questions, and makes you feel connected to something much older and bigger than yourself. That's a bit like the Baltic Sea Anomaly. So, as this strange object sits silently beneath the waves, it invites us to pause and reflect. It's a reminder that not every question has an answer, and sometimes, the most profound wonder comes from simply acknowledging the mystery itself. The unknown isn't something to fear. It's a quiet invitation to keep looking, to keep dreaming, and to always remember the vast, beautiful secrets our world still keeps. The ancient cave paintings of Lascaux, art from long ago. But if you could reach back thousands of years and touch the hand of someone who lived long before you, imagine a message left, not on paper, but on stone, deep inside a dark cave. That's what we find with the ancient cave paintings of Lascaux in France. Here's the thing. These aren't just pictures. They are a quiet echo from a time so far back, it's hard to imagine. About 17,000 years ago, early humans, our ancestors, entered these deep, silent caves. They used simple tools and flickering lamps made from animal fat. In that soft, dancing light, they painted. They drew magnificent bulls, deer, horses, and mysterious symbols. These weren't quick sketches. These were huge, powerful images, filling sections of the cave walls. Why did they do it? This is where the mystery deepens. Maybe for a good hunt, maybe telling stories, or marking events, or maybe they simply wanted to capture the beauty of animals, feeling connected to the wild world. It's like when you draw something important to you, or write down a big feeling. You want to make it real, hold it, or share it. These early artists felt that same human need to create, to express, to leave a mark. Considering these ancient artworks, we feel a strange connection. It's a whisper from a different world, yet the art's feelings, awe, respect, the urge to create, feel strangely familiar. These silent walls hold the first human dreams and expressions of wonder. They remind us that creativity and the desire to understand our place have always been part of being human, reaching across time to touch us now. The Voyager's golden record. Messages for aliens. Imagine, for a moment, sending a message far, far away, not just across the ocean, but out into the vast, silent darkness of space. What would you say? What would you want distant, unknown beings to know about us? That's kind of what humanity did decades ago. In 1977, two special spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, began a journey out of our solar system. On board each one, there's a golden record. It wasn't a music album for us to listen to here on Earth. It was a message, carefully placed there for any alien life that might one day find it, billions of miles from home. Think of it as Earth's ultimate time capsule, sailing through the stars. Scientists like Carl Sagan helped put it together. They wanted to show who we are, what our planet looks like, and what sounds we make. The record holds greetings in 55 different languages. It has sounds of Earth, a baby crying, a whale singing, a train, even a kiss. There are also images of people, animals, and places, showing scenes from our daily lives and the beauty of our world. It's a bit like writing a letter, putting it in a bottle, and tossing it into the deepest ocean, hoping someone on a distant shore might someday pick it up and read it. Only this bottle is flying at thousands of miles an hour through space, and the shore is another star system, light years away. It's an incredibly hopeful and vulnerable thing to do, reaching out into such a big, empty space. Will anyone ever find these records? We don't know. Space is incredibly huge, and the Voyagers are tiny specks in that vastness. But here's the thing, just the act of sending them out there, it tells us something important about ourselves. It shows our deepest hopes. We want to connect. We want to say, hello, we are here. It's a quiet whisper into the great unknown, a hope that someone, somewhere, might hear it and understand we existed, that we reached out. It makes you think about our place in the universe, doesn't it? The Bermuda Triangle's Air Force planes, gone in a flash. Imagine a bright, clear afternoon. The sky is endless blue above the ocean, perfect for flying. Picture 5 powerful Navy bombers, out on a training mission. One moment, they are there, a tiny speck against the vastness. The next, they are simply gone. This is what happened on December 5, 1945, with a group of planes known as Flight 19. They took off from Florida, heading over the area we call the Bermuda Triangle. Somewhere over the deep, silent water, their voices faded. Their compasses spun wildly. Then, only radio silence. No wreckage was ever found. It was as if the ocean simply swallowed them whole, leaving no ripple behind. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how can something so big just disappear without a trace? It's like when you lose a favorite toy. You search everywhere, but it's just not there. You know it was there, but now it's vanished. Imagine that feeling, but multiplied by miles of ocean, involving actual lives. The mystery of Flight 19 feeds into the legend of the Bermuda Triangle. It's a real section of ocean, yet it feels like a place outside our understanding. We try to find answers with science or logic, maybe a sudden storm, a strange magnetic pull, or something else. But some things refuse to be explained. And that's the thing about true mysteries. They remind us that even with all we know, the world still holds secrets. The ocean is so vast, so ancient, and sometimes it keeps its stories hidden, whispering, only silence. It shows us how small we are, how much we still don't know. Perhaps that's okay. Some questions are meant to hang in the air, like ghosts of forgotten planes, reminding us to wonder. The disappearance of Bobby Dunbar, a boy found, but whose, imagine for a moment, the deepest fear a parent could feel. Their child, gone, vanished. Now, imagine years later, someone tells you they found your child. The relief would be like a sunrise, after the longest night, right? But what if, when you looked into their eyes, a tiny, chilling whisper of doubt remained? This isn't a made-up story. This is the mystery of Bobby Dunbar. Back in 1912, a little boy named Bobby disappeared during a fishing trip in Louisiana. His family searched and searched, their hearts aching with every passing day. 8 months later, a boy was found, hundreds of miles away, traveling with a man. He looked like Bobby. His parents, Percy and Leslie Dunbar, traveled to see him. They cried, they hugged him, and they said, "This is our son, Bobby." But here's the thing. Another woman, Julia Anderson, stepped forward. She said the boy was her son, Bruce, who had been taken from her. She described birthmarks, tiny details only a mother would know. The boy was confused, quiet. He didn't seem to recognize either family clearly. So, how could anyone truly know? It was like looking at two identical keys, wondering which one unlocks your own front door. You might think you know, but the tiny differences matter everything. This isn't just a story about a missing child. It's about what it means to truly know someone. It asks, what makes a person them? Is it just how they look? Or is it something deeper, a shared history, a feeling, a memory that lives in your heart? For the Dunbar family, and for Julia Anderson, the answer was never truly clear in their lifetimes. The boy went home with the Dunbars, grew up, and had a family of his own. But the shadow of whose boy was he lingered, a quiet, aching question for generations. It reminds us how much we rely on trust and connection to define who we are, and how unsettling it can be when those things are shaken. The vanishing of the people of Anjikuni, an empty village. Have you ever walked into a room, expecting it to be full of life, only to find it completely empty? That quiet, strange feeling. Now imagine that, but on a much larger scale. In 1930, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle was making his way through the cold, vast lands near Lake Anjikuni in northern Canada. He knew this area, knew the Inuit village that stood by the lake, home to around 30 people. He expected the usual sounds of life, but as he got closer, silence, a deep, unsettling quiet. When he finally entered the village, he found it completely deserted, not a single person. All belongings were still there, food, cooking, clothes folded, tools laid out. It was as if everyone had just stopped and vanished into thin air. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints leading away, nothing to explain where everyone had gone. Even the sled dogs, usually vital for survival in that harsh landscape, were gone. This wasn't just a group of people leaving, it was an entire community, simply erased. Here's the thing, our minds try to fill in gaps. If someone isn't in their usual spot at school, we think, oh, they're probably sick, or maybe they're in the library. We look for reasons, but with Anjikuni, there were no reasons. It's like checking your phone for a message from a friend, and then seeing their entire contact just disappeared from your list. No name, no number, just gone. It's hard to grasp, isn't it? This mystery makes us pause and think about how delicate presence can be. One moment, a whole world exists, full of voices and laughter and routine. The next, it's just an empty space, a chilling reminder of how quickly life can change or disappear, leaving only questions behind. It's a mystery that quietly asks us to reflect on the nature of what's real and what we truly know. The mystery of the Saraceno estate, an unfinished palace. Have you ever started building something grand, with huge dreams, only to have it never quite finished? Maybe a detailed drawing you left half-colored, or a really ambitious fort in the woods that never got a roof. Well, in Russia, there's a place that tells a similar story, but on a much, much larger scale. The Saraceno estate. It's a grand, sweeping dream of a palace that remained forever unfinished. Back in the 1700s, Catherine the Great, a powerful empress, wanted a beautiful country estate near Moscow. She pictured a stunning, unique palace with many buildings, surrounded by lovely gardens. So, construction began. Talented architects drew up amazing plans, and workers started building. For years, walls went up, towers began to rise, and the vision slowly took shape. But here's the thing, tastes change, ideas shift, and sometimes, even the most powerful person can't control every little detail or budget. After some time, Catherine decided she didn't like the first architect's work. She hired a new one. Then, she felt the palace was too dark, too gloomy. Her vision for the estate kept changing, and the money kept flowing out. Eventually, construction just stopped. The empress died, and the grand complex was left as a beautiful skeleton, a collection of unfinished buildings and archways open to the sky. It's like when you're writing a really good story, full of twists and turns, but then you lose your notebook, or you just can't figure out the ending. That story sits, unfinished, a potential masterpiece that never reached its final chapter. Saraceno whispers about those unfulfilled ambitions. It reminds us that sometimes, life's biggest projects, whether they're palaces or personal dreams, aren't always completed, but even in their incompleteness, they hold a quiet power, a reflection on what we aim for and the unpredictable path of time. It's a place that makes us think about the beauty of both beginnings and the quiet lessons found in things left undone. The singing sands dunes that make strange noises. Have you ever stood in a place so quiet you could almost hear your own thoughts echo, a silence so profound it feels like the whole world is holding its breath? Now, imagine that deep stillness, broken not by wind or animals, but by the very ground beneath your feet. Picture a vast, golden desert, stretching out endlessly under the sun, miles of stark, beautiful stillness, and then, from the dunes themselves, a sound begins to rise, a deep hum, a low rumble, sometimes even a strange, mournful whistle, like a giant ancient instrument playing a secret melody. These are the singing sands, one of nature's most enigmatic whispers. For centuries, travelers stumbled upon this strange phenomenon, often in awe or fear. Ancient tales spoke of desert spirits, of dragons sleeping beneath the dunes, their powerful snores rumbling up through the earth. Marco Polo, the famous explorer, wrote about hearing the sound of all kinds of musical instruments from the Gobi Desert, sounds he believed were evil spirits trying to lead travelers astray. Here's what I found. These old stories show us how humans, when faced with something unknown and powerful, often reach for magic, for myths, to try and make sense of a world that feels too big to fully grasp. But here's the thing. Today, scientists have a much clearer idea of what's happening. It's not spirits, but a wonder of physics. Think about how you make a sound by rubbing your wet finger around the rim of a glass. It creates a high-pitched hum, right? That's because the friction makes the glass vibrate. The singing sands work in a similar way, but on a truly massive scale. Billions of tiny, smooth sand grains, all of a very specific size, and often with a layer of moisture, slide past each other. When they move, especially down a steep slope, they vibrate together. And when countless grains vibrate in unison, they create a sound so powerful, a low roar or a deep hum, it can be heard for miles across the empty landscape. It's like a colossal natural orchestra, with each grain a tiny note, coming together to form a grand, mysterious chord. So here's what happened. Even in something as seemingly simple as a pile of sand, there are hidden complexities, secret voices, and ancient mysteries waiting for us to patiently observe and understand. This phenomenon reminds us to keep listening, to keep wondering, and to remember that the world holds countless wonders, some of which hum quietly, just beneath the surface, waiting for our curiosity to uncover them. It teaches us that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary secrets, if only we take the time to truly see and hear. The mystery of the sleeping sickness, people who just slept. Have you ever really thought about how strange sleep is? How we just disappear from the world for hours, then, hopefully, we return, fresh and ready. But what if you didn't return? What if your mind got stuck somewhere between awake and dreaming, a silent prisoner in your own body? This was the chilling reality for thousands during the sleeping sickness that swept the world after World War I. People simply began to fall into a deep, unending slumber. Some never woke up. Others, though their eyes might be open, were trapped in emotionless trance. They were physically present, but their very selves, their thoughts, their feelings, were lost to a profound, mysterious stillness. Doctors called it encephalitis lethargica, a terrifying mystery that spread quietly, leaving a trail of silent figures. Imagine your friend, your parent, simply becoming a living statue. They might stare blankly, unable to speak, unable to move, unable to connect. It was like watching someone you love disappear right before your eyes, while their body remained. Bustling world kept spinning. But these individuals were frozen in an unbearable, waking dream. They weren't just tired, they were gone, yet, still there. It's a bit like when you're deeply engrossed in a video game, totally tuned out, and someone has to yell your name 3 times to get your attention. But imagine that feeling, that disconnection, being permanent. Their bodies were present, but their unique spark, their ability to be them, was unreachable, locked behind an invisible wall. This haunting mystery whispers to us about the incredible fragility of our consciousness. It makes us pause and truly appreciate the everyday miracle of being fully awake, fully present. The freedom to move, to speak, to choose, to connect with the world around us. It's a gift we often forget. The sleeping sickness reminds us, of the incredibly thin, precious line that separates our vibrant minds from the deepest, most quiet unknown. The Oakville blobs, jelly rain from the sky. Imagine stepping outside on a quiet morning. The world isn't as you left it. Instead of dew, strange soft blobs are scattered everywhere. Not just a few, but hundreds. This is what happened in Oakville, Washington, back in 1994. It wasn't rain that fell from the sky that day, but something far more mysterious. Jelly-like masses, grayish and squishy. Think about that surprise. What were these things? Where did they come from? The air itself felt strange. People who touched the blobs, or even breathed nearby, got sick with flu-like symptoms. One even got a bad infection. It was as if the sky had wept a strange, sickly mystery. Humans have always looked up, at the stars, the clouds, the vast blue. Sometimes, things fall from that sky, making us wonder. We've heard stories of fish or frogs raining down, or strange lights, but these Oakville blobs were different. Scientists studied them. They found human white blood cells and 2 types of bacteria. Even with these clues, the full story, the why and how, remains wrapped in fog. It's a bit like trying to solve a puzzle when key pieces are missing. You see parts of the picture, but never the whole thing. Or when you try to remember a dream and only fuzzy feelings remain. The blobs were real. They were there. They affected people, but their origin, their true nature, slipped through our grasp. The Oakville blobs remind us that the world holds wonders and questions beyond our grasp. Sometimes, the most powerful experiences are not finding an answer, but just feeling that raw, beautiful, unsettling truth of not knowing. It's a quiet lesson. Our world is still vast, still wild, always ready to surprise us with something truly unexplained. And that's a powerful thought, isn't it? It invites us to keep looking up, to keep wondering. The case of the Taman Shud man, a body with no name. Have you ever stopped to truly think about what makes you, you, your name, your family, the memories only you hold? Now, imagine someone found on a beach, a real person, but with nothing. No name, no papers, not a single clue to say who they were. That's the haunting mystery of the Taman Shud man. On a warm morning in 1948, on a quiet beach in Australia, a man was discovered. He seemed peaceful, almost asleep, but he was gone. He had no wallet, no identification, nothing in his pockets but a train ticket that hadn't been used, a bus ticket, and some chewing gum. His clothes seemed expensive, but all the labels were cut off. It was as if someone wanted him to be a ghost. Police searched, but found nothing. No missing persons reports matched. No one claimed him. The puzzle deepened when, weeks later, a tiny piece of paper was found hidden in his trousers. On it, 2 words, Tamam Shud. This phrase, from an old Persian poem, means the end or finished. It led them to a very rare book of poetry, found, later, with the same page torn out, and inside that book, strange coded letters. Were they a message, a clue? No one knows. It's like finding a brand new, amazing piece of art, but the artist's signature is gone. No one knows who created it or why. You can admire it, but part of its story, part of its meaning, is lost forever. And that's what makes the Taman Shud man so deeply sad. To live a life, to have hopes and dreams, and then to vanish without a trace, leaving behind only questions. It reminds us how much our names, our connections, and our stories truly matter. They are the threads that weave us into the world, reminding us that we were here, that we mattered, that we were known. And for this man, that thread remains tragically, forever, unseen. The Winchester Mystery House, a house built for ghosts. Have you ever walked into an old, quiet house and felt like it had secrets, like the walls could whisper stories from long ago? Some houses just feel different. And then there's the Winchester Mystery House. This isn't just an old house. It's a giant, confusing puzzle built by a very sad woman. Sarah Winchester was a widow. Her husband, William Wirt Winchester, was the son of the man who started the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. This company made rifles that were used in wars and for hunting, causing many deaths. Sarah inherited a huge fortune when her husband died, but with that money came a deep, heavy grief. She had lost her baby daughter, then her husband. People said she believed she was cursed, haunted by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. Here's the thing. Sarah thought these spirits were angry. A medium, someone who claims to talk to the dead, told her the only way to appease them was to build, and never stop building, a house. So, for 38 years, until the day she died, construction on her mansion in California never stopped. It grew and grew, becoming a bizarre maze. There are stairs that lead nowhere, doors that open to walls, windows that look into other rooms, and countless hallways that twist and turn. Imagine how you might feel if you were really stressed or sad. Maybe you'd clean your room, or organize your closet, or even just walk around your neighborhood. You're doing something, anything, to try and feel a little more in control, or to push the big, sad feelings away. For Sarah, building this house was like that, but on a massive scale. It was her constant, unending task, maybe a way to keep her mind busy, to try and outrun the ghosts she felt chasing her. So, was it truly built for ghosts, or was it a monument to a grieving heart? A physical map of sorrow, trying to build a path to peace that never quite arrived. The mystery of the Winchester house isn't just about what spirits might linger there. It's about the human heart, and how sometimes, when faced with overwhelming sadness, we build our own strange worlds, hoping to find a quiet place within them. The Beast of Gévaudan, a monster terrorizing France. Have you ever felt a chill thinking about something unknown, something that seems to hunt in the shadows, just beyond what we can see? Imagine a fear so deep it gripped an entire country, not just for a night, but for years. This is the story of the Beast of Gévaudan, a mystery that still whispers through the quiet valleys of 18th century France. In the wild, rugged region of Gévaudan, between 1764 and 1767, a creature began to stalk the lonely paths and remote farms. It wasn't just a wolf, locals said. It was something different, something bigger, bolder, and more cunning. It attacked people, often women and children, with a ferocity that seemed unnatural. Panic spread like wildfire, turning neighbors suspicious, and making every rustle in the leaves sound like a monstrous approach. The beast killed dozens, maybe even hundreds, and nobody could truly stop it, no matter how many hunters the king sent. Here's the thing about fear. When we don't understand something truly terrifying, our minds try to fill in the blanks. We create a shape for the shapeless, a face for the faceless. Think about when you're walking home late, and a car drives past with its high beams on, casting long, spooky shadows. For a split second, that dancing shadow can look like anything, a monster, a lurking figure, simply because your brain is trying to make sense of the unclear. In Gévaudan, with no easy scientific explanations, this shared fear built the beast into something more than just an animal. It became a symbol of the unknown, a dark force that could not be reasoned with or caught. And so, even after the attacks finally stopped and a large wolf-like creature was killed, the mystery of the beast lingers. Was it a giant wolf, a rare hyena, or perhaps even a human serial killer disguised? We don't know for sure. But the story of Gévaudan reminds us that the greatest monsters are often born in the space where knowledge ends and terror begins. It teaches us how deeply fear can settle into our hearts, and how even when a physical threat is gone, the echo of uncertainty can remain, shaping how we see the world and what we believe might still be hiding in its shadows. The Giant's Causeway, stones shaped by what? Have you ever looked at something in nature and wondered, how did that happen? In Northern Ireland, there's a place called the Giant's Causeway, and it truly makes you stop and stare. Imagine thousands of tall, dark stone columns, mostly six-sided, packed together so perfectly they look like giant steps leading into the sea. It's like nature built a staircase for giants. For a long time, people thought maybe a giant did build it. The old stories tell of a mighty Irish warrior named Finn Mackle, who built this causeway to walk across the sea to Scotland to fight another giant. It's a powerful story, full of bravery and ancient magic. But then, science offered another explanation, just as amazing, in its own way. Scientists tell us these incredible columns were formed by volcanic activity millions of years ago. Hot, flowing lava, much like thick, glowing liquid rock, erupted from deep within the earth. As this lava cooled down, it began to shrink, and as it shrunk, it cracked. Think about a muddy puddle drying up on a hot day. As the water leaves, the mud shrinks and breaks into a pattern of cracks, right? Or how an ice cube might crack if you pull it out of the freezer and put it in warm water. It's a similar idea, but on a massive, fiery scale, with molten rock turning into stone. The way it cooled made it crack into these unique hexagonal shapes. So, is it a giant's path, or the slow, powerful work of our planet? Maybe the real wonder isn't choosing one story over the other. Maybe it's about feeling the deep mystery that connects them both. To stand there, looking at those ancient stones, whether you imagine giants or immense geological forces, you feel small, and the world feels vast. It makes you think about the incredible power and patience of nature, always shaping, always changing, leaving us with breathtaking questions and silent answers carved in stone. The blood falls of Antarctica, red ice, a strange sight. Have you ever looked at a place so wild, so untouched, that it feels like another planet? Imagine Antarctica, a land of pure white ice and biting wind. Now, picture a waterfall there, but instead of clear blue water, it's a deep, dark red. It looks just like blood pouring down the frozen face of a glacier. This is the Blood Falls, and it's one of Earth's quiet, strange mysteries. For a long time, people saw this eerie red stain on the ice and wondered what it could be. Was it something dangerous, something alien? But here's the thing, it's not blood at all. Scientists finally figured it out. Way beneath the glacier, there's a lake, hidden from the world. This lake is extremely salty, and it's full of iron. When this iron-rich salt water slowly seeps out and meets the air, the iron rusts, just like an old metal fence left out in the rain turns reddish-brown. That rust gives the water its shocking, crimson color. It's like finding a secret message in a bottle that's been drifting for ages. When explorers first spotted this red stain back in 1911, it was an immediate puzzle. It made them think about how much we don't know, even about our own planet. The water from the falls is also home to tiny, tough microbes that live without sunlight, eating iron and sulfur. They've been living in that dark, cold, salty world for millions of years, completely cut off from the outside. So the Blood Falls isn't scary. It's a silent, beautiful reminder of how resilient life can be, finding a way to thrive in the harshest spots. It shows us that even the most desolate places hold hidden wonders and deep stories, quietly flowing beneath the surface, waiting for us to understand them. It's a reminder that some of the greatest secrets are often found in the most unexpected and seemingly impossible places. The case of the imposter tick-borne claimant, a man pretending. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if someone truly close to you vanished, and then, years later, a stranger appeared, claiming to be them? But here's the thing, something about them felt wrong, just a little off. This isn't about ghosts or ancient curses. It's about what it means to truly know a person, and how easily that knowledge can be twisted. The Tichborne case began in the 1800s. A young English heir, Roger Tichborne, was lost at sea. His mother, heartbroken, never gave up hope. Years later, a man from Australia suddenly appeared, claiming to be her long-lost son. He was much heavier, his voice was different, and he seemed to have forgotten many details. But he looked somewhat like Roger, and his mother, clinging to hope, believed him. Here's what happened. Many others, especially family servants, said he was clearly an imposter. A man named Arthur Orton. So began a huge court battle, one of the longest in English history. Imagine your best friend moved away, and then 5 years later, someone showed up at your door, saying they were your friend. They look a bit different, maybe gained some weight, and they can't remember your favorite inside joke. Would you believe them just because they said they were your friend? Or would you need something deeper? A shared memory, a familiar sparkle. In their eyes, this story makes us think about trust and what proof we need to believe someone's identity. It makes you wonder, if even the closest family members disagreed, how can we ever be sure who someone truly is? It's a quiet reminder that sometimes the hardest mysteries aren't about ancient secrets, but about the tricky, delicate puzzle of human identity itself. And it reminds us how deeply we want to believe in second chances, even when the truth feels blurry. The disappearance of the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers, a ghost light. Have you ever wondered about things that just vanish? Not a lost item, but people, whole stories, leaving only silence behind. This is one of those deep mysteries, a quiet whisper from the past. Imagine a tiny remote island, far out in the wild, North Atlantic. A tall lighthouse stands, a beacon for ships. For ages, real people lived in these lonely towers. Their job, keep the powerful light burning, guiding sailors through storms. But in December 1900, on Scotland's Flannan Isles, something truly strange happened. 3 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, were on duty. Their work was vital, a steady rhythm. Soon, a ship noticed. The light was out. Days later, a relief crew reached the island. What they found was eerie. The lighthouse was empty. The main door was unlocked. Emil sat half-eaten, clothes hung neatly. But the men, gone, vanished. No sign of struggle, no bodies, just a puzzling, complete emptiness. This wasn't just a simple disappearance. It felt like the island itself had swallowed them. The ocean is vast, but how could 3 experienced men vanish without a trace, leaving everything so orderly? It challenges what we understand. The light eventually shone again, but the mystery of its keepers, their final moments, forever casts a quiet shadow. Think about your own day. You leave for school. Your room is neat. What if one morning, you just didn't show up, and everything at home was exactly as you left it? That feeling of things being normal one moment and utterly inexplicable the next makes this story so haunting. This mystery reminds us how much we don't know. Some questions just echo through time, like the silent sea holding its secrets close. It's a deep wonder about what lies beyond our sight.